Second feedback. Okay, let's begin. This. So, all of you now. Okay. Yes, now. Hope you all are present here, listening to me well. And I'm audible. If there are any problem, then you can write now in comments. Otherwise, we'll have to start our class. Am I audible? Everything? Now, can we start? Okay. Hope that I'm audible. So, with that assumption, I'm going to start the class. Yes, audible. Okay. So, say many of you have taken this exam. See, there are three questions that in terms of essay writing, and I have made answer of only one because of the time constraint, and hope that you have done this. However, let me go through this first question back. So now let's talk about essay first. That when we write an essay, that is the very simple thing is that we have to write from 800 to 1000 words. This is our tentative calculation, and we are on the eve of your, that final exam. Then you are already prepared that how you have to write an essay. Okay, you are already mentally, that ready, or you have a mental map that how you are going to write, how you are going to write essay in your exam. So I was telling you that when we deal with the essay, that there should be around 10 passes around, or your volume should be um, above 800. That when I taught you in my class also, I told you about this. There should be around 800 words or above 800 words or 10 paragraph. Okay. We talk about the format of essay writing. We talk about the skeleton of essay writing. Today as well, I'll focus on the skeleton of essay. Okay, I'll focus my prime emphasis today will be on the structural part of the essay, and however, I will show you that it's in everything in detail so that you can maintain those things properly in exam and you can write. Still, you have lots of time. Like I mean, I think your exam starts from 15th of this month. Then you can write two, three essays as you think, which is that more appropriate or more that important for your exam outlook. Then you can write that too the way you want. Okay, so let's talk about this a number. Okay, so say we have been talking about economic diplomacy, and even our government, that has focused on economic diplomacy or even development diplomacy, particularly for the development of the nations. That these days quite, that in our popular in our press and even our newspapers in our current day as well. And hope that you are up to date with this. So, say, as an emerging and a crucial tool for developing the national interest and fostering development, Nepal is a developing country with a strategic geographic position, has significant opportunity in this domain. Okay, obviously, and is a diplomat, Brad and Asa discussing how Nepal can effectively utilize economic diplomacy to attract the investment, promote trade, and enhance its global standing. So, tentative, that the content that you have accumulated from extra paper too, that can be really helpful here, that to write an essay, because you have done economic diplomacy, or this economic diplomacy, its challenges, what are the problems, and who has said, and you can bring some of the scholars idea. You must have read, like, even Madhuraman sir, MR sir, he also says that sometime you can write in criticism also, like, that Nepal's economic diplomacy is neither economic nor diplomatic. There are, you can collect those scholars idea and you can write in your advantage point or advantageous points, or when you write in criticism, you can mention the scholars point as well. And with the same assumption that you have done is extra paper too, I have not done this, but you have to obviously go through this, that properly about the economic diplomacy. This is one of the very important topic. And next topic is that which I'm going to talk about this today here to all of you, that because climate diplomacy, that Nepal has done lots of things. Even MOFA has played a very important role, because we have recently completed Sagarmatha Samvad, that you have gone through this as well. So let's go through the questions. Climate change has become one of the most pressing global challenges. Okay, this is the current issue, bonding issue, disproportionately affecting the global countries despite their minimal contribution to the problem. Nepal being highly susceptible to, that susceptible means vulnerable, you can understand, or something is likely to, okay, vulnerable to. So climate induced disasters, faces the serious environmental and socio-economic risks. So write an essay analyzing the global politics of climate change, okay, and discuss how Nepal can play an active role in international climate diplomacy while safeguarding its national interest. So you can write here how, what are the things that we have done. You can present from that outlook as well, or what we can do. Okay, so today my focus will be like, how are you gonna write an essay? What should be the things that you should maintain? So I've been telling you for a long period of time, like writing essay is not only fulfilling of the pages. Writing essay is completely based on a structure or format. Okay, sometimes many of you write like 10 pages, but you write like in a paragraph. So what are the things that we have to maintain? See, you have to write a title which is more effective, or that you have to create title yourself while dealing with the things in your exam hall. You have to think and you have to create yourself an appropriate title. Okay, title is a must. Then you have to write any hook sort of things, or you can say any sort of attention getter. Okay, that can draw the attention, or you can create a situation while writing the essay. Okay, you can bring any context over there, while talking about the same thing, like addressing the House of Representatives. This is also an event that, witnessing the rapidly changing Himalayan ecosystem. Antonio Guterres, he visited Nepal and he won the world. Okay, speaking at HOR, House of Representatives, what he say? I witnessed the devastating effects. Swollen lakes burst, rivers and sea rise, and the cultures are threatened. So mountains are exposed, and then inflaming the risks of rock slides and landslide and avalanches. So this is I have tried to quote here what he said. So why this is? Because I'm creating that background, or you can say I'm creating a context, or I'm trying to draw the attention of the readers. Okay, and you can write another things years earlier at COP26. That was a very famous line. This is the reason why I thought it is appropriate one, and I have included here COP26, that Boris Johnson's had similarly cautioned the humanity that it was 1 minute to midnight. It's a very popular phrase that you must have gone through this 1 minute to midnight. Okay, these warnings are not mere political rhetoric. Is not only like it's not only the that paid the lip service. I mean, not only in the language, they are urgent reminders that climate change is no longer a distant scientific projections, but a lived global reality. This is that we are witnessing, or that we have faced. This is what we have done in the hook, or I brought the scholars and I have created the context. Now you can write again. You can add here writing about the context or definitions, like global temperatures rise, that we refer to commonly referred to as a global warming, has emerged one of the defining crises of the 21st century. That the very simple line about the global, what is global temperature, or what is global warming. Then from the smoke filled factories of the Industrial Revolution to today's carbon intensive economies, the earth has silently borne the scars of anthropogenic ambition. That is, what humans have done, or what are the dent that human has done to destroy the environment. You can say that, and rising temperatures, melting glaciers, extreme weather events, and the ecological disruptions now threaten not only the natural systems but also the economic stability and social security and geopolitical order. So again, what we have done, first, we wrote two scholars based on our context. You can say as a hook. Then we try to write about the what is global temperature, or what is global warming. That we wrote about things a little bit, 5 6 line. You can say that. And then the most important thing that you should not miss is that thesis statement, that which I told you that many of you miss this. Okay, I have been saying the same thing, that why we say thesis idea or thesis statement, because this is one of the very important thing that you should not miss in while writing the essay. You should not miss while writing the essay, because if you miss this, then you are not writing an essay, you are writing a story. This is a huge difference. So what you are going to do, that is, you are going to argue something and you are going to prove something. Yeah. Wait a minute. You write one paragraph. Okay, this is one paragraph. See. Oh, I have tried to, that dissect it so that you can understand a better way, but you have to write in one paragraph. Hook, background or context, or thesis statement, that should be in one paragraph. Okay, I was thinking that to give you in one paragraph. I thought, okay, let's try to dissect it so that you can understand a better way the format of the essay. This is the reason why I have dissected it. Nothing else. You have to write in one paragraph. It's very clear. Okay, so then you can write very simple. This essay argues that, this essay contains that, this essay delineates that, this essay posits that. Okay, or even you can remove this part. You can remove, this essay argues, contains. You can remove this part also. Or if you keep this part also, then it gives a very clear hint to the examiner that you are writing you know, you are writing thesis statement. Even you don't write thesis statement, when we write academic writing, then they don't write this. They write this paper. The beginner write this paper, argues that, contains that, delineates that. But if you don't write, also we understand that what you are going to write. But that is a thesis statement that examiner will understand you that climate change is not merely an environmental crisis, but a profound geopolitical and development challenge, shaped by historical injustice that vulnerable nations such as Nepal can transform ecological vulnerability into diplomatic leadership through strategic engagement in global climate diplomacy. So what we are talking about here, we are talking about this. This essay delineates that. This essay contains that, argues that. This is your argument in this essay, and that you are going to write complete essay based on this argument, that you are going to prove this. Okay, it is not only a climate crisis, this is a geopolitical and development challenge as well, because of the historical injustice. Okay, and then that vulnerable nation like Nepal can transform ecological vulnerability into diplomatic leadership. How? Through strategic engagement in the global climate diplomacy. So this is the thesis idea. So my very basic point here is that what I'm trying to convey to all of you, that you have to write a thesis idea. Thesis idea is the heart of the essay, that you have to mention that thesis idea. It means what you are going to write in the whole essay, that you have to mention in the first paragraph, last sentence. It's a very general format that what we write. And last time, if you remember, that I taught you the format as well. So now this is the first paragraph. Okay, this is the first paragraph. Many of you think, sir, this is lengthy. I would say it is not lengthy, because you have to write over 800. Keep in mind this. You have to write over 800. This is the reason why it is not lengthy. So the word limit, I told you that from when you write the introductory paragraph, you have to write 60 to 120 words. Around that is also the very tentative assumption, minus 10 plus 10, that doesn't matter. You can, but the things that you should not miss. Okay. So I'm trying to make you understand in a chunk this essay, so that you will understand in a better format. Okay. So now next paragraph. Body paragraph can be multiple body paragraph. Can be multiple body paragraph. But each body paragraph contains one topic sentence. I mean, what you are going to write in the one body paragraph, that you have to say in that first sentence. That is called topic sentence. Okay, like the first sentence is here is a topic sentence. Okay, so in your exam, you are not going to write a body paragraph one. Okay, you are not going to write this body paragraph one. You have to remove this. You are not going to write topic sentence. You have to remove that. You can write directly like, at its core, the politics of climate change. Okay, you can add if you need. Don't worry about paper. You can add as many paper you want, as much you want. It's not a big deal. Okay, you can add paper, or even their paper is also enough. You don't have to add. I think that's also enough. Enough paper is given for you. So, at its core, the politics of climate change is not merely an environmental debate. Okay, but a profound question of justice, responsibility, and historical accountability. So, in this part, we are going to. My tentative calculation is, if you write 7 pages, it depends on the size of your letter, which I've been saying. It depends on the size of your letter. Some of you write, that a large letter, some of you write a small or even average one. If you're writing the size of your letter is average, then 7 to 8 pages, that's enough, I think, around. You count the words yourself first. And what I've been saying is that the tentative is 10 pages. 10 pages is enough. 10 pages is enough in your case. So the topic sentence is that at its core, the politics of climate change is not merely an environmental debate, but a profound question of justice, responsibility, and historical accountability. So here we are going to talk about these three important things. That is, it is a question of justice, responsibility, and historical accountability. So this now next part, this is same paragraph, body paragraph one. Okay, that you saw that I remove that. So the contemporary climate crisis did not emerge in isolation. Rather, it is a cumulative of consequences of centuries of industrializations led by the powerful economies that we talk about 1990s. Even when we said the greenhouse gas emissions since 1990s, you must have read that as well while preparing for all the paper too. Such as the United States, UK, Germany. So they have the way they have been exploiting that since the pre-industrial time, because they are developed now. You see, so You can say that the contemporary climate crisis did not emerge in isolation. Rather, it is a cumulative consequences of centuries of industrialization, okay, led by the powerful economies. Then you can write the name of this country. Then when you write the fact and evidence, then you can write fuel by coal, that coal, oil, unchecked industrial expansion, and these nations accumulated unprecedented prosperity while releasing the vast quantities of carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere. This is a very simple that we supported what we have said. Okay. Then you can bring like expert opinion. Expert opinion exam. If you know, that's fine. If you don't know, then you can escape. But the very simple thing is that you can like you can prepare a note related to the climate diplomacy, related to the climate change, 2 3 scholars idea, and you don't have to remember exact words what you said. You can write paraphrase and you can write an exam that works for you. Okay, all this big argues in his theory of the risk society that modern civilizations increasingly produces the threat that are human made, borderless, and irreversible. This is what humans are doing. Okay, so and what is example? The devastating wildfires in North America that about last year, I think January, in the beginning of January. So prolonged drought across Africa, catastrophic floods in Asia, and are no longer isolated disasters. They are the symptoms of a planet in distress. These are the examples that I provided here. Okay. So now there is a one sentence which is called link back to thesis. Link back to thesis means every paragraph that we are going to write, at the end you are going to write a simple concise or synopsis of the paragraph which you can add, which supports the topic sentence of the given paragraph. Okay, so like the climate change, therefore, is not a scientific issue. It is fundamentally a question of global justice and historical accountability. You can connect this to the thesis that we have written in the thesis statement or topic sentence. So you can draw a kind of conclusion, a kind of sorry, a kind of that synopsis there. So now come to body paragraph, to that Nepal is a victim. Okay, that we are going to talk here. Nepal is a victim. I have not included here a subtitle today. In our next class, I will include the subtitle. Don't worry about that. Okay, obviously we'll include about the subtitle. I have told you in my first class too that we can write essay with subtitle. We can write essay without subtitle, which is more comfortable for you. It is up to you. So now body paragraph 2, that is Nepal as a victim. Then what you are going to write here is that the true magnitude of the climate change becomes most evident when one examines its disproportionate impact on fragile mountains such as the Nepal. So again, we are talking about the impact, particularly on the fragile mountain nations like Nepal. So what is the fact? You can write despite contributing only a negligible share, the accounting for 0.027 of global greenhouse gas emission, Nepal stands among the earliest and hardest victim of planetary warming. Okay, this is the you can say this is a fact. Okay, which supports the topic sentence. Then you can write the scientific evidence, like scientific studies show that, research show that. You can mention these sort of things because to write this sort of language, you don't need exact data like 40%, 30%. Then you have to write these sort of things. Then you can write like the study shows, research shows that the Himalayan region is warming faster than the global average, accelerating glacial retreat, that melting, obviously, reducing snow cover and increasing the likelihood of glacial lakes outburst floods. So this is a scientific evidence. You can say that, and you can even that real life examples that you should not miss this part. So if you're writing an essay, then you should keep in your mind that somewhere you have to include the Nepali context, which is really important while writing an essay, because the examiner thinks that you have touched the real ground. Okay, you have touched about obviously we have connected the Nepalese issues very well. So this is also important thing. So the recent disaster in Thame, yes, that we know, an unprecedented rainfall in Kathmandu last year, this issue, and the increasing frequency of landslide vividly illustrate that the climate change is no longer a future threat. It is a lived reality that we are witnessing at the present time. So this is a real life examples you can write. And next is that you can write authoritative examples. This is authoritative in the sense that, that I mentioned in the introductory part also. Then it was against this backdrop that Antonio Guterres warned the world about the swollen lakes and the threatened cultures after visiting Nepal's Himalayan region. So again, I have included his saying what he said is an example also two line. Okay. So now again, I have to say that link back to thesis, that is Nepal's ecological suffering has thus become powerful evidence of planetary urgency. It is a urgent that we have to take the action, particularly uh, as a victim of climate change. So now, what I taught you, because what I taught you in my previous class is that if you're writing an essay, argumentative, then counter argument and rebuttal is a must. Counter argument and rebuttal is a must. So, for example, even you're writing an answer extra paper two, then sometimes you get to assess this, examine that. Okay, then you write the positive aspect, and obviously you write the however clause, include there what are the negative things. Okay, you mention that too. So while writing, also what you have said so far, there are many scholars and many people they don't agree with you, and obviously they have opposing ideas. That you have to acknowledge that fact as well, which is really important. So counter argument and opposing view, what you have to write is admittedly critics argue that the small developing nations poses the limited influence in global climate negotiations. Obviously, when you talk about particularly the performance, particularly the the capacity, okay, agency. When you talk about agency of that's the climate negotiations, then particularly small developing nations like us, where decisions are often saved by economic and geopolitical giant. Okay, when the economic powerhouse or the major power, they determine the decision. So, support for or influence the decision, support for opposing views. So, given this is what you have done, this counter argument means that you have admitted what who are that saying against your argument. Then after that, there should be a rebuttal. Rebuttal means support for opposing view, and you give your own rebuttal. That is, given Nepal's modest economy in this limited technological capacity, okay, then when you can say not modest one also, you can add modest economy, limited technological capacity, the constant diplomatic resources that that constant diplomatic resources, and skepticism appears understandable. These are the issues, the real issues in our ground or in our context, in the context of Nepal, you can write that. And rebuttal. Rebuttal means what? Now you have to give an argument, okay, uh, against those that counter argument. So, however, this argument overlooks a fundamental reality of the contemporary international relation. That influence is no longer measured solely by economic or military power. This is what we have to say. And what is the theoretical support? To support your counter or rebuttal, then you can bring Joseph Nye, explains that through concept of soft power, legitimacy, authority, normative leadership, can shape the global agendas effectively as a material strength. These days, that hard power is not everything. You can bring the issues. Okay, so you can give example of Joseph Nye here, and you can write example also by supporting the campaign for an advisory opinion on climate obligations before the International Court (ICJ). Nepal has positioned itself as an advocate of global climate justice. Okay, you must have read in newspapers also. Nepal also participated there, and Nepal said that that to create climate justice is our right. So we are not begging; it is our right to get the climate justice, as we have been the victim of climate change. Though there is a minimal contribution in greenhouse gas emissions. So you can write those things, okay, while writing the examples. Then you can write link back to this. Then same thing, that vulnerability, when strategically articulated, becomes legitimacy, and legitimacy in diplomacy becomes influence. Okay, this is what we have to connect to the thesis idea. Now, very simple. Body paragraph 4, that you are not going to write this. You can write a way forward, you can write solution, you can say diplomatic dealings, okay, that or leadership, or what are the things that we have done, or what do we have to do. So, say the topic sentence is that yet within the deepening crisis lies an unprecedented opportunity for Nepal to transform ecological vulnerability into a diplomatic leadership and convert the climate adversary into the strategic advantage. So, yet within this deepening crisis, okay, there are problems. It that nonetheless lies an unprecedented opportunity for Nepal to transform ecological vulnerability into a diplomatic leadership and convert the climate adversary into the strategic advantage. So the way we are, that demanding for or asking for, climate fund or different, that climate justice, that can be a really, that good ground for Nepalese economy, okay, or particularly for the contribution of Nepalese or development sector. You can write that too. And the point one plus explanation, that is, you can give examples, the very proper examples, and you can talk about that properly, like as the home of the Mount Everest and Himalayan ecosystems. So this is a EM dash, long dash is a EM dash, and we talk about that in details. That often regarded as a third pole of Nepal. That is, Himalayan ecosystem is often regarded as a third pole. Okay, and again you can write the EM dash. So why you have done? You are giving extra information, nothing else. Then Nepal occupies a unique ecological, geopolitical, and symbolic position in climate climate score. So this geographical identity grant Nepal not merely exposure to climate risks, but also moral legitimacy to advocate for the mountain communities, fragile ecosystem, and climate justice on the international stage. Okay. Then what is example? Example is that we have recently hosted, that Sagarmatha Samvad. Through Sagarmatha Samvad, Nepal has already begun repositioning mountain ecosystem from a regional concern to a shared global responsibility. You can give the best example of Sagarmatha Samvad here. Likewise, Nepal's support for the climate justice initiative at the International Court of Justice and its active engagement in the List Developed Country (LDC) group reflect an emerging diplomatic confidence rooted in ecological stewardship. In our driving set, you can say that. So this is Nepal has played the best example you can include. Then the policy example, at the policy level, Nepal must continue championing the global instruments such as the Paris Agreement, obviously, while firmly demanding the equitable climate finance, affordable green technology, enhanced capacity building, and effective operationalization of the loss and damage mechanism for vulnerabilities. So you can talk this part as well. Then again, you can give the domestic example. Okay. In our case, equally important, you can like Nepal's achievement in hydropower expansion, community forest, solar energy promotions, carbon trading, and recent electricity exports to Bangladesh demonstrate that domestic sustainability can evolve into the diplomatic capital, okay, resource or economic leverage. This can be the economic leverage. So this is from our example, from our country. These are the examples. Then again, you can write the link back to thesis that climate vulnerability therefore need not remain a symbol of helplessness when combined with visionary leadership, ecological credibility, and strategic diplomacy. It can be transformed into national strength and global influence. So when you talk about climate vulnerability, or this, that we are at the disadvantaged position of the climate change, if we really take the position, or if you really understand it, then there are lots of opportunities that we can transform those opportunities into the national strength, and that can be obviously the vehicle for the development. Okay, this is what you can write in essay. Very simple. Then you should not write like you should write then conclusion. I told in my last class also, if you write in conclusion, no problem. If you don't write also okay. Generally, I suggest not to write. So restatement of thesis. So what is a restatement of thesis? The restatement of thesis means what you have said in the thesis idea that I told in the first paragraph, that you are going to write the same thing but in a different language. The climate change represents not merely an environmental crisis but a profound geopolitical challenge shaped by historical inequality. Nepal poses the potential to transform into the ecological vulnerability into diplomatic leadership. What I said in the beginning, almost same thing. Okay. Then summary of the argument, what you have said in 3-4 paragraphs. As demonstrated, climate change is deeply intertwined with historical responsibility, structural inequality, ecological vulnerability, and evolving forms of diplomatic influence. Then the final line, the final clincher, you can see that Nepal, despite contributing almost nothing to global emission, has begun raising its voice through the that international court of ICC, you can say, and platforms such as Sagarmatha Samvad in an age where glacier melt faster than diplomatic promises. Is a very interesting line. You can say that glaciers melt faster than diplomatic promises. Nepal must continue transforming vulnerability into leverage, justice into strategy, and adversity into opportunity. So this clock needed indeed be nearing midnight. So again, what I said in the that first paragraph, we talk about that midnight clock. Again, I have tried to connect here that, but with the core is solidarity and then visionary diplomacy. Midnight need not mark humanity's end. Okay, that midnight means we are talking about the end of that humanity, or the end of the that you can see the world, or all because of our behavior. That's midnight, which is very alarming. That I gave you example of Boris Johnson. Okay, what Boris Johnson says, that which I included in the first paragraph. So, in the beginning of its redemption. So, this way you can draw the conclusion. Okay. So, these are what I've tried to explain to all of you, that this is the format. This is a very simple format. So, I want to explain to all of you that writing essay is not only filling of the pages, it is based on the skeleton. That is, we have to write in a format. Any queries so far? And this essay, maybe if you remove this background and this title, subtitles, and everything, that maybe around nine words around, uh, or about, or you can say over 800. Any queries from the essay sections? Otherwise, we'll move on. Seamless flow, that we see the transition marker in that in writing. Uh, Seamless flow, yes, obviously. If you follow the pattern or structure, then it's okay. You will follow. See what I've said, that you write in hook, you are going to write in background, then you have to write in thesis system in, then you can write in, you are going to write the topic sentence or argument which supports the thesis idea. Then you are going to develop the paragraph where you will explain that your idea properly, you will give the evidence, then you will talk about, you will include based on that evidence the theoretical support you will bring there, you will include the examples, and you will draw one sentence conclusion in the body paragraph. Okay, so this is how we are going to develop. If you follow the format, then it will be easy for you to maintain the flow. I don't think there will be problem. If there are problems, you have to write in subtitle. When I take next class, then I will show you one example having subtitle as well. But I have been saying that like creating subtitle, like 4-5 subtitle, it kills you for 5 minutes. That you should manage the time, which is really important. So now, I assume that there are no problem. Making writing more refined. The first thing is that you have to write based on the format. And now don't think much. Your exam is nearing. It gives you extra pressure. Think that you have to write 10 paragraphs. You should not miss the thesis idea. You should include their 2-3 scholars idea if possible. You have to write example. You should not miss Nepal context. You should not miss however clause, I mean rebuttal. And you should draw the conclusion. If you produce the best essay, no problem. If you are the beginner, then write 2-3 essays. Try to know the volume properly. Try to know the structure, and then write. Don't be panic. You can do, because you have been writing essay for a long bit of time. Since you're like that plus 2 level in school, you can write. But there is a difference. In school, we would write like only 2 pages, and now we have to write around 7-8 pages or 10 paragraph or lengthy 10 paragraph. You keep in mind this. If you have enough time, then I would suggest lots of things. Now before the exam, let's not take much pressure. Just you are going to produce the simple essay, maintaining the volume and following this structure. Done. So now let's talk about translation. Okay. So when you talk about translation, one of the part that kills your time. And I've been saying that if you miss one translation, then your game is over. I mean, if you miss the translation, then you are out of the competition. Okay, you should not miss the translation. Translation is that part that kills your time. For both translation, English and Nepali, you are supposed to complete translation in 50 minutes. This is a time strategy, okay? Essay for 45 minutes. Essay 45 minutes. You note somewhere else. Within 45 minutes, you have to complete one essay. You have to produce essay within 45 minutes. You write in the beginning, first question, or you write at the end of the end of the like 3 hours. Then, but you have to separate 45 minutes for the essay. Then translation, for both translation 50 minutes. And while dealing with the pre-say and pre-she writing, and then that the comprehension, then you can like save around 6 to 7 minutes in each questions. That you can include in translation too. It will help you a lot. Which I've been saying, that if you save here like 5 to 7 minutes in like pre-see and reading comprehension, then around 15 minutes, which you can aid in that translation. Imagine like 15 minutes plus 15 minutes, around 1 hour plus. And when we deal with the translation, one of them is difficult. It is sure, and it kills your time. Translation is that part which kills your time. So be aware with the translation. Okay. So now let's go through this. Hope you have done an exam. Okay. See, now very simple. Like throughout the U.S. President Donald Trump's most recent campaign and second term in office, he and his team have attempted to spin his foreign policy as a pragmatic, disciplined, and strategic. Very simple. Okay, you can write this in Nepali. Like throughout the U.S. President Donald Trump's most recent campaign. Campaign means we are talking about election campaign. Okay, if you write election campaign, also no matter. If you write only a campaign in Nepali translation, Abhiyan, that is also okay. त्यो पनि हुन्छ. ओके, अमेरिकाको राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रम्पको पछिल्लो, वाइ पछिल्लो, बिकज अफ रिसेन्ट, त्यहाँ रिसेन्ट भएको भएर पछिल्लो र दोस्रो कार्यकालभरि, ओके, द्याट इज थ्रु आउट भनेको छ नि त्यहाँनिर, थ्रु आउट भएको भएर कार्यकालभरि 25 मिनट दुवैलाई, 25 25 50, 25 25 50 हजुरले रिडिङ कम्प्रिहेन्सन र प्रेसी राइटिङमा 7 7 मिनट बचाउनु भयो भने त्यो 7 7 मिनट ट्रान्सलेसनमा जोड्नुहोस् अनि तपाईँले अलिक बढी टाइम पाउनुहुन्छ। एन्ड द्याट क्यान, त्यो बचाउन सक्नु पऱ्यो फेरि। टाइम सेभिङ इज लाइक ड्राफ्टिङ नोटमा पनि बचाउन सक्नुहुन्छ, त्यहाँ पनि तपाईँले दुईवटै ड्राफ्टिङलाई 25 मिनटमा सक्न सक्नुहुन्छ। यु क्यान कम्प्लिट 25 मिनट्स, कसैले त 20 मिनट पनि सकिदिन्छ ड्राफ्टिङ होइन, तर 25 मिनटभन्दा बढी चाहिँ लाउनै हुँदैन। त्योभन्दा बढी लाउनु भयो भने चाहिँ अब तपाईँ टाइम बचाउनै सक्नुहुन्न कि फेरि, इट किल्स यु टाइम। ट्राई गर्नुहोस्। अब नाइसमा भोलि अथवा कहिले इक्जाम हुन्छ, एकदम टाइम फर्मेटमा बसेर इक्जाम दिनुहोस्। त्यो पहिल्यैबाट गर्नु पर्थ्यो, अहिले लास्टमा आएर मैले भनेर पनि केही हुने होइन। टाइममा एक्स्ट्रा पेपर 1 टाइममा भ्याउनु च्यालेन्ज हो, एक्स्ट्रा पेपर 1 टाइममा भ्याउनु च्यालेन्ज हो। एउटा क्वेसन छुट्यो कम्पिटिसनबाट आउट, एउटा क्वेसन पनि छुट्नु भएन, टाइममा भ्याउनु पर्यो, विच इज च्यालेन्जिङ टास्क। ओके, लेट मी मुभ अन है, लेट्स टक अबाउट दिस सेकेन्ड। सो भेरी सिम्पल, र उनले उनको टिमले आफ्नो विदेश नीतिलाई व्यावहारिक, तपाईँले त्यहाँनिर प्राग्मेटिक देख्नु भएको छ, व्यावहारिक भन्छौँ हामी त्यसलाई, डिसिप्लिन अनुशासित भइहाल्यो, स्ट्राटेजिक रणनीतिक भइहाल्यो, भएको भनेर प्रस्तुत गर्ने प्रयास गरेका छन् भने नि, त्यो चाहिँ हामीले स्पिनलाई त्यहाँनिर ल्याएर बनायौँ कि प्रस्तुत गर्ने भनेर। स्पिन, स्पिन भनेको तपाईँले फेरि नेपालीमा मैले घुमाउने भन्ने हिसाबले चाहिँ नलेख्नु होला। सेन्टेन्स बनाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ while you are translating, okay, your translation should carry the essence or spirit of the text. टेक्स्टको मिनिङ चाहिँ राम्रो आउनु पर्यो कि, त्यो कुरोलाई ध्यान दिनु होला। when I taught you, like in translation also, like there are two sort of things, like literal translation and spirit translation. Our prime task is spirit translation. तपाईँले spirit translationलाई अझ बढी फोकस गर्नुहुन्छ। लिटरल त आवश्यक नै छ, तर लिटरल भनेर केही कुराहरूलाई लिटरल ट्रान्सलेसन गर्न चाहिँ मिल्दैन। जुन I told you about idioms, I told you about that phrases, some of the phrases, and I told you about some of the saying and adage, केही कुराहरू चाहिँ मिल्दैन। मैले तपाईँलाई पहिला पनि मेरो क्लासमा भनेको थिएँ होइन। So the counter accusation, that is global approach, is impetuous and reckless with the profession of flexible realism. अब यो प्रोफेसन भनेर तपाईँले त्यतिखेर ट्रान्सलेसन, प्रोफेसन भनेको चाहिँ यसलाई चाहिँ कस्तो भन्दाखेरि, यो प्रोफेसन भनेको चाहिँ स्वीकार गर्ने हो। यो टिचिङवाला प्रोफेसन, अकुपेसनवाला प्रोफेसन चाहिँ होइन। यो सेन्टेन्सको फ्रेज हेरेर है फेरि, द्याट यु हेभ टु फाइन्ड आउट दिस। मैले पेपर हेरिरहँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो कता कता देखाएको थिएँ कि मैले कसो कसो लेख्नु भएको थियो। सो द काउन्टर एक्युजिसन, अब त्यो एक्युजिसन भनेको तपाईँहरूलाई थाहा छ होइन, दोष लाउने भन्ने कुरा। ग्लोबल अप्रोच इज द्याट इम्पेचियस एन्ड रेकलेस। इम्पेचियसलाई हामी के भन्छौँ, भावनात्मक बढी, इमोसनल पनि भन्न सक्नुहुन्छ, अथवा हतारिएको अथवा उत्तेजना भनेर राख्दा पनि हुन्छ तपाईँले होइन। रेकलेस भनेको लापरवाही। उनले आफ्नो विश्वव्यापी नीतिलाई, हामीले ग्लोबल अप्रोच भन्यो, हतारिएको उत्तेजना लापरवाही भनिने आरोपलाई चाहिँ लचिलो यथार्थवाद भन्ने कुरा गरेर प्रतिवाद गर्छन्। त्यो प्रतिवाद गर्ने भनेको काउन्टर गर्ने भनेको छन्। यो चाहिँ भर्ब हो। भर्ब चाहिँ हामीले जहिले पनि लास्ट ठाउँमा लेख्छौँ ट्रान्सलेसन गर्ने बेलामा, त्यही भएर यहाँनिर गर्छन् भनेको सेन्टेन्समा लास्ट ठाउँमा आयो। तर इङ्ग्लिसमा चाहिँ हामी सब्जेक्ट पछाडि भर्ब लेख्छौँ। यो कुरा चाहिँ ब्यालेन्स गर्नु पर्यो तपाईँहरूले गर्नुभयो होला, बिकज अब इक्जामको लास्ट ठाउँमा हुनुहुन्छ, यस्तो कुराहरू सामान्य कुराले म्याटर गर्छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्दैन। A note to an intellectual tradition of trace back to a Greek historian Thucydide भन्छौँ। अब नोट भन्यो भने तपाईँले भन्नुभयो नि, यो नोटलाई हामीले परम्परातर्फको एउटा सङ्केत भन्यौँ, अथवा तपाईँले इक्जाममा सङ्केत भन्दा पनि एक्सेप्टेन्स भनेर लेख्दा पनि खासै त्यति चाहिँ उतै पर्दैन है। इन्टेलेक्चुअल ट्रेडिसन भनेको हामीले बौद्धिक परम्पराको भन्छौँ, जसको जरा प्राचीन ग्रिक इतिहासकार थ्युसिडाइडसम्म पुग्छ। थ्युसिडाइड अब तपाईँ आएको स्टुडेन्ट, थ्युसिडाइड तपाईँलाई थाहा छ, मैले भन्नु परेन। अनि व्हाट इज सेड द्याट द स्ट्रङ दे डु what they can, and the weak suffer what they must. अनि द्याट यु हेभ टु राइट, भेरी सिम्पल। तपाईँ लेख्नु पनि हुन्छ, यो बलिया मानिसहरूले जे गर्न सक्छन् गर्छन् र कमजोरहरूले जे सहनुपर्छ सहन्छन्। भेरी सिम्पल, यु क्यान राइट दिस। ओके, सो नेक्स्ट इज द्याट थ्रु अ डाइभर्स स्कुल अफ थट। अब स्कुल अफ थटलाई चाहिँ वाट आई गेट द्याट, मैले पेपरमा पनि हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ विचारको स्कुल भनेर पनि लेख्न पाइयो, मैले लेखेको देखियो मैले। त्यो विचारको स्कुल त्यस्तो चाहिँ होइन। स्कुल अफ थट भनेको प्रिन्सिपल हो कि एउटा, तपाईँले त्यसलाई चाहिँ सिद्धान्त भनेर लेख्नु सकिहाल्यो। विभिन्न सिद्धान्तहरू भए पनि सामान्य रूपमा यथार्थवादले शक्ति लाने अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय राजनीतिको मुख्य कुरा हो भन्ने मान्छ। ओके, अब यहाँ हेर्ने करेन्सीलाई मुद्रा पनि लेख्नुहुन्छ, लेख्दा बिग्रिने होइन, तर बढी लिटल ट्रान्सलेसन हुन्छ। त्यही भएर मैले मुख्य कुरा भनेर लेख्दैछु है। कहिले काहीँ त्यो ठ्याक्कै ऊ लेख्दाखेरि चाहिँ लिटल ट्रान्सलेसन गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ भाव कता बिग्रेला भनेर त्यो कुरामा चाहिँ एकदमै चनाखो हुनुपर्छ एक्जाममा। ओके, सो इट एस्क्युज द आइडियालिजम। एक्सक्युज भनेको त अस्वीकार गर्छ, त्याग्छ, टाढा रहन्छ त्यसबाट भनेर तपाईँले कुन राख्नुहुन्छ, इट इज अप टु यु। काउन्सिल्स आर रुथलेस, फोकस अन डिफेन्डिङ नेसनल इन्ट्रेस्ट। ओके, रुथलेस भनेको तपाईँलाई थाहा छ, निर्दयी भनेर कतै पढ्नु भएको थियो होला पहिला, अथवा कडा, कडापूर्वक अथवा कडा अथवा निर्दयपूर्वक ध्यान दिनुपर्छ भन्छ। त्यसलाई नेसनल इन्ट्रेस्टलाई, नेसनल इन्ट्रेस्टको कुरामा चाहिँ हामी इमोसनली हुँदैन, रुथलेस हुनुपर्छ भन्ने काउन्सिल गर्छ। ओके, मैले त्यसमा फोकस गरेर यसलाई पनि लेख्न सक्नुहुन्छ। सो द सिमिङ रिजोनेन्स अफ दिस वर्ल्ड भ्यू, सिमिङ रिजोनेन्स अफ दिस वर्ल्ड भ्यू, विचारधारा। ओके, हामी संसारलाई हेर्ने विचारधारा, विचारधारा यु क्यान से द्याट, यो विचारधारा ट्रम्पको दोस्रो कार्यका लागि सुरुवाती विदेश नीतिसँग मिल्दोजुल्दो देखिएको। अब यो मिल्दोजुल्दो भनेको चाहिँ रिजोनेन्स हो क्या, सिमिङ रिजोनेन्स। अब तपाईँ यो वर्डै हेर्नुभयो भने चाहिँ सिमिङली रिजोनेन्स बाहिरबाट हेर्दा देखिने भित्र त्यो फरक हुन नि सक्छ, त्यसको अलिक भित्र बुझेर हेर्नुभयो भने होइन। सिमिङ रिजोनेन्स भनेको चाहिँ त्यो तपाईँले हामीले कहिले सिमलेस बाहिरबाट क्लियर देखिन्छौँ नि, सिमलेस हुँदा चाहिँ जस्तो बाहिर देखिन्छ त्यो भित्र नहुन सक्छ भने जस्तै हो सिमिङ रिजोनेन्स, बाहिरबाट हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मिल्दोजुल्दो देखिया हो। सो you can write now, the Trump's second term foreign policy has led the prominent analysts to embrace realism as the unifying framework for the president's heterodox approach. अब यो heterodox approach चाहिँ तपाईँले कतै पढ्नु भएको छ, थाहा छ, मिनिङ थाहा छ भने पनि तपाईँले इक्जाममा लेख्नुहुन्छ। मिनिङ थाहा छैन भने चाहिँ तपाईँ कता कता फेरि अब अलिक टाढै पुग्नुहुन्छ। सो यु क्यान राइट भेरी सिम्पल, प्रसिद्ध अथवा प्रमुख विश्लेषकहरूले तपाईँले कसरी लेख्नुहुन्छ प्रोमिनेन्टलाई, बोथ आर करेक्ट। उनले फरक खालको नीतिलाई, अब यो परम्परागत भन्दा फरक खालको नीतिलाई है बुझ्न, यथार्थवादलाई मुख्य अथवा संयुक्त आधार मानेका छन्। हामीले युनिफाइङ फ्रेमवर्कलाई चाहिँ संयुक्त आधार भन्यो अथवा मुख्य आधार भन्यो। तपाईँले इक्जाममा जसरी फ्लोमा बग्छ लेख्दाखेरि ओके है, इट्स नट अ प्रब्लम। Then the New York Times even proclaimed that the theory that gives Trump a blank check for the creation. अब तपाईँले इक्जाममा ब्ल्याङ्क चेक, नेपालीमा ब्ल्याङ्क चेकै लेख्नुहुन्छ, कतिले मैले लेखेको पनि देखेँ होइन। ब्ल्याङ्क चेकै लेख्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामीले त्यो पैसावाला चेकको कुरा गरे भने इट हेज अ रिटोरिकल मिनिङ, आई मिन इट हेज अ भेरी कनोटेटिभ मिनिङ, नट द डिनोटेटिभ मिनिङ होइन। द थियरी द्याट गिभ्स ट्रम्प्स अ ब्ल्याङ्क चेक फर एग्रेसन, एग्रेसनको लागि ब्ल्याङ्क चेक दिने हो नि, मनीको लागि ब्ल्याङ्क चेक दिने होइन। हामीले मनी चेकको कुरा पनि गरे नि यहाँनिर, फेरि स्पेलिङ त मिल्छ नि। तपाईँले सिएचई क्युई लेखे पनि त्यो सिएचई अमेरिकन र ब्रिटिस हो, फरक फरक हुन्छ, तर मिनिङ चाहिँ चेक, त्यो ब्याङ्कको चेकमा पनि मिल्छ यो कुरा चाहिँ होइन। ब्ल्याङ्क चेक चाहिँ त्यो हिसाबले नभनिकन इट्स अ भेरी कनोटेटिभ वान। कनोटेटिभ वान तपाईँले यसलाई कसरी लेख्न सक्नुहुन्छ भने लाइक ट्रम्पलाई आक्रमण गर्न अथवा युद्ध गर्न खुला छुट दिने सिद्धान्त। तपाईँलाई ब्ल्याङ्क चेकमा त जति भरे नि पाइयो नि। कहिले काहीँ तपाईँले कसैले ब्ल्याङ्क चेक दियो भने तपाईँ 1 करोड लेख्नुहुन्छ कि 5 करोड लेख्नुहुन्छ कि अर्ब लेख्नुहुन्छ कि तपाईँलाई त्यो छुट छ नि। एक्ज्याक्टली सेम थिङ न्युयोर्क टाइम्सले त यसलाई के भन्यो भने ट्रम्पलाई आक्रमण गर्न वा युद्ध गर्नलाई छुट दिने सिद्धान्त भनेर समेत भनेको छ। दिस वे यु क्यान राइट। तपाईँले यो तरिकाले तपाईँ एउटै कुरा इक्जाममा के कुरा याद गर्नु पऱ्यो भने कहिलेकाहीँ हामी ट्रान्सलेसन, लिटरल ट्रान्सलेसन इज निडेड, मैले त्यो निडेड नभने होइन, इट इज निडेड, रियली इम्पोर्टेन्ट फर यु। तर धेरै लिटल ट्रान्सलेसन तपाईँले फोकस गर्नुभयो भने तपाईँले सेन्टेन्सको सेन्स बिगारिदिनुहुन्छ। सेन्स बिग्रियो, हाफ बिग्रियो भने चाहिँ मिनिङ बिग्रियो कि फेरि, त्यसलाई चाहिँ बिगार्नु भएन। इज वान अफ द भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट थिङ, इम्पोर्टेन्ट कुरा। बट द युनाइटेड स्टेट्स न्यू वार विथ इरान मेक्स क्लियर द्याट ट्रम्प इज नट अ रियलिस्ट। तपाईँले बुझ्नुहुन्छ त्यो कुरा त, भेरी सिम्पल सेन्टेन्स नै छ। र अमेरिकाको इरानसँग नयाँ युद्धले ट्रम्प यथार्थवादी होइन भने स्पष्ट बनाउँछ, तपाईँले देखिहाल्नुहुन्छ। इनफ्याक्ट रियलिजम वेन प्रपरली अन्डरस्टुड रिभिल्स द प्रोफाउन्ड डेन्जर्स अफ द ट्रम्प एडमिनिस्ट्रेसन करेनिङ अप्रोच टु फरेन पोलिसी। अब यो करेनिङ अप्रोच भनेको चाहिँ अस्थिर विदेश नीति हो कि। तपाईँले नेपालीमा कसरी ट्रान्सलेट गर्नुहुन्छ, तपाईँले कुनै पनि किरालाई करेनिङ डाउन हुन्छ नि, भित्रबाट तल खसेको, अस्थिर भएर खसेको देख्नुहुन्छ नि। ट्रम्पको पोलिसी पनि त्यही छ नि, अहिले तपाईँले हेरिरहनु भएको छ नि होइन। कुनै बेला कुनै देशलाई कति % ट्याक्स लाउने, कहिले हटाउने, इट्स नट अ फिक्स पोलिसी कि, अस्थिर भयो नि। द्याट्स टु इन्डिकेट द सेम आइडिया हियर गिभन द्याट करेनिङ अप्रोच टु फरेन पोलिसी। ओके, दिस इज द रिजन वाइ रिभिल्स द प्रोफाउन्ड डेन्जर अफ द ट्रम्प्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेसन भनेर चाहिँ यहाँ लेखिदिएको छ। त्यो वास्तवमा त्यो इनफ्याक्ट तपाईँले लेख्न सक्नुहुन्छ, यथार्थवाद सही रूपमा बुझ्दा ट्रम्प प्रशासनको अस्थिर विदेश नीतिमा गम्भीर खतरा देखिन्छ। यु क्यान राइट दिस, नट अ बिग डिल। Unleashing regional war in the Middle East with neither a compelling justification or nor a theory of how best to advance the U.S. interest is profoundly it odds with the core tenet. This is a phrase. This is a phrase. It odds with the core. It odds with भन्ने एउटा phrase हो कि त्यसको अर्थ चाहिँ के हो भने कुनै पनि चिजभन्दा अपोजिट हुने नमिल्ने हामीले त यु क्यान राइट दिस प्रोफाउन्डली अपोजिट पनि लेख्न सक्नुहुन्थ्यो नि तर त्यो प्याराग्राफमा त्यसरी लेखिएन त्यो प्याराग्राफमा चाहिँ इट अर्ड्स विथ द कोर टेनेट्स अफ द रियलिजम भनेर दिएको छ है सो मध्यपूर्वमा कुनै ठोस बाध्यात्मक कारण चाहिँ छैन किन वार गर्ने भनेर खासमा त्यो चाहिँ कुनै व्याख्या पनि छैन अब त्यो नरलाई पनि के गर्यो भने ट्रान्सलेसन गर्ने बेलामा नाइदर पनि छ अनि यहाँ नर पनि छ नि त्यो तपाईँले न त यता न त उता भनेर नेपालीमा ट्रान्सलेट कहिले काहीँ त्यो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भने मिल्न चाहिँ मिल्छ नमिल्ने द्याट्स अल्सो ओके तर भद्दा हुन्छ अनि तपाईँ यता जोखिनुहुन्छ क्या अनि दुइटा बिना राखिदियो भने चाहिँ त्यो सल्भ हुन्छ जस्तो कि मध्यपूर्वमा कुनै ठोस बाध्यात्मक कारण वा व्याख्या बिना र अमेरिकी हित कसरी अगाडि बढाउने भन्ने सिद्धान्त बिना यसमा पनि बिना दुईटा बिनाले चाहिँ नाइदर नर आइदर अरलाई पनि ट्याकल गर्छ राम्रैसँग ट्याकल गर्छ यु क्यान फिट इन अदर केसेस टु तपाईँले अदर केसमा पनि यसलाई ट्याकल गर्न मिल्छ दिस इज अ टेक्निकलिटिज है गरौँ यथार्थवादको मुख्य सिद्धान्तहरूसँग गम्भीरतापूर्वक गम्भीर रूपमा विपरीत छ भनेको त्यो विपरीत छ भनेको चाहिँ त्यो एट अर्ड्स विथ द को टेनेट्स भन्ने एट अर्ड्स विथ भन्ने हो कि त्यो विपरीत छ अपोजिट छ भन्ने केस चाहिँ वास्तवमा त्यो भन्न खोजे so next okay indeed that we have done indeed with his war with the Trump with his war with the Iran the Trump has permanently ceded his claim to represent a clear-eyed and pragmatic approach to US foreign policy opening new space for other political leaders to take up that mantle अनि इन्डिड भनेको हामीले वास्तवमै बनिहाल्नु तपाईँले गरिहाल्नुहुन्छ इरानसँगको युद्धपछि ट्रम्पले अमेरिकी विदेश नीतिमा स्पष्ट व्यावहारिक नेतृत्व गर्ने आफ्नो दाबी सधैँको लागि गुमाएका छन् द्याट इज सिडेड त्यहाँ एउटा सिडेड भन्ने चाहिँ हामीले कहिले ल्यान्ड गुमाउँदा पनि सिडेड हुन्छ नि तपाईँले कतै पढ्नु भएको थियो त्यो र यसले अरू गाभ्ने कुरामा नेताहरूलाई त्यो भूमिका लिन नयाँ अवसर दिएको छ ओके द्याट टु टेक अप द्याट मेन्टल भन्छ नि हामी त्यो भूमिका लिनलाई नयाँ अवसर दिएको छ त्यस पोलिटिकल लिडर्सहरूलाई न्यू स्पेस भनेर हामी यसलाई ट्रान्सलेसन गऱ्यौँ भेरी सिम्पल तपाईँहरूले यो लेभलको सामान्य ट्रान्सलेसन मजाले गर्नुहुन्छ भन्ने मेरो बुझाइ हो यहाँसम्म है अब नेक्स्टमा जाउँ नेक्स्टमा के छ भने विश्वव्यापी तापक्रम इट्स भेरी अब देयर आर टू थिङ्स द्याट यु हेभ टु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड वान इज नेपाली ट्रान्सलेसन नन्दर इज इङ्ग्लिस ट्रान्सलेसन इङ्ग्लिस टु नेपाली नेपाली टु इङ्ग्लिस वान अफ देम इज डिफिकल्ट तपाईँको इक्जाममा दुईटा मध्ये एउटा गाह्रो आउँछ एउटा सजिलो आउँछ र कहिले काहीँ कस्तो हुन्छ भने सजिलै आउँछ दुइटै तर टेक्स्ट लेन्दी आउँछ कि टेक्स्ट लेन्दी आयो भने चाहिँ सजिलो तर टाइम कन्ज्युमिङ चाहिँ हुन्छ यो कुरो चाहिँ याद गर्नुपर्छ दिमागमा टेक्स्ट सजिलो बट टाइम कन्ज्युमिङ र टाइमलाई म्यानेज गर्न सकेन भने चाहिँ अनि तपाईँले फेरि त्यो छोड्नुपर्ने हुन्छ अथवा यसैमा गएर त्यसले हान्छ कि पछाडिपट्टि गएर त्यहाँनिर गएर प्रब्लम हुन्छ द्याट यु हेभ टु म्यानेज इट भेरी वेल सो लेट्स गो थ्रु दिस यसैबाट जाउँ यो तपाईँले गर्नु भएको छ इक्जाम दिनुभएको छ सेन्टेन्स बाई सेन्टेन्स भेरी सिम्पल तपाईँले हेर्न सक्नुहुन्छ यो विश्वव्यापी तापक्रम वृद्धि अर्थात् उष्णीकरण ग्लोबल वार्मिङ आजको विश्वको गम्भीर समस्या बनेको छ जुन विश्वव्यापी रूपमा देखा परेको मात्र नभए विकसित तथा विकासशील देशहरूका आर्थिक सामाजिक र पर्यावरणीय संरचनामा गहिरो प्रभाव पर्दै गएको छ यहाँसम्म एउटा सेन्टेन्स बनाउँदा हुन्छ अथवा माथिमा एउटा ब्रेक गर्दा पनि हुन्छ यो ब्रेक गर्ने चाहिँ मैले तपाईँलाई ट्रान्सलेसन पढ्ने बेला बनाएको थिएँ अब त्यो अहिले डिटेलमा चाहिँ जान सकिएन म कर्सरली भन्छु त्यसमा है त विशेषता नेपाल जस्तै भौगोलिक रूपमा विविधता भएको र प्राकृतिक स्रोतमा आत्मनिर्भर अत्याधिक निर्भरको देशमा यसको असर अझ स्पष्ट रूपमा अनुभव गरिएको छ ओके तापक्रम विश्वव्यापी तापक्रम हामी ग्लोबल टेम्परेचर राइज भन्यौँ अनि अर्थात्लाई चाहिँ तपाईँले फेरि यहाँनिर मिन्स नलेख्नु होला त्यो लेख्दा पनि हुन्छ मिनिङ लेखेर राख्दा पनि हुन्छ हुन चाहिँ यु क्यान राइट अरले पनि त्यसलाई क्याच गर्छ अर भनेको पनि अर्थात् हो अरको चाहिँ अथवा मात्रै हुँदैन फेरि अथवा चाहिँ कमनली अन्डरस्टुड हो अरलाई तपाईँले अर्थात्को रूपमा मजाले प्रयोग गर्न मिल्छ अनि यु क्यान राइट अल्सो नन एज त्यो पनि लेख्न पाउनुहुन्छ इन अदर वर्ड्स लेख्न पनि पाउनुहुन्छ तर इट इज अ मोर सर्फेसियल अर यु क्यान से द्याट लिटरल एन्ड देन द्याट इज लेख्न पनि पाइन्छ ग्लोबल वार्मिङ कुरो चाहिँ एउटै हो तपाईँले ग्लोबल टेम्परेचर राइज भने पनि ग्लोबल वार्मिङ भने पनि सेम कुरा भन्न थाल्नु भएको तपाईँले अर्को त्यसो केही पनि छैन हेज बिकम अ सिरियस इस्यु इन टुडेज वर्ल्ड one that has not only emerged in global scale but also has been deeply affecting the economic, social and environmental structure of the both developed and developing nations. त्यो चाहिँ माथि हामीले विकास र विकसित देश भन्यौँ अनि त्यसले कुन कुन पाटोलाई असर गर्छ भन्दाखेरि आर्थिक सामाजिक र पर्यावरणीय संरचनामा भन्यौँ त्यसको लागि चाहिँ हामीले त्यही अनुसार नै इकोनोमिक, सोसल र इन्भाइरोमेन्टल स्ट्रक्चर भन्यौँ दुवै त्यो विकासशील देशको पनि विकसित देशको पनि असर गर्छ एफेक्ट गर्छ भन्ने कुरा भन्यौँ ओके यो तपाईँले अगाडि राखेर पछाडि राखेर सेन्टेन्स करेक्ट हुन्छ तपाईँले म्यानेज गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ इक्जाममा you have been doing consistently for a long period of time and you can manage it सेन्स मर्न भएन फेरि यही हुन्छ हुनुपर्छ भने पनि छैन तपाईँले त्यसलाई अगाडि पछाडि राखेर इट डिपेन्ड्स अन यु स्किल हाउ यु यु नो द्याट कास्ट एन्ड रिकास्ट द सेन्टेन्स. तपाईँले सेन्टेन्सलाई कास्ट र रिकास्ट गरेर कसरी मिलाउन सक्नुहुन्छ, द्याट सुड बी ग्रामेटिकली करेक्ट. सेन्टेन्स करेक्ट हुनु पऱ्यो. अब इन्भाइरोमेन्टल स्ट्रक्चर, इकोनोमिक, सोसियल, यो त लिटरल ट्रान्सलेसन नै हो. तपाईँले गरिरहनु भएको छ, यसमा चाहिँ तलमाथि भन्ने कुरै हुँदैन. यु हेभ टु नो दिस एन्ड यु क्यान राइट दिस. तपाईँले गर्नुहुन्छ. देन विशेष त नेपाल जस्तो भौगोलिक रूपमा विविधता भएको तथा प्राकृतिक स्रोतमा अत्याधिक निर्भर देशमा यसको असर अझ स्पष्ट रूपमा अनुभव गरिएको छ. ओके, एन्ड इट्स इम्प्याक्ट, असर अनुभव गरिएको छ भन्ने यो पार्ट छ नि, लास्टको पार्टलाई हेर्ने हामीले अगाडि लेख्छौँ. यसको असर अझ स्पष्ट रूपमा अनुभव गरिएको छ. द्याट इज इट्स इम्प्याक्ट हेज बिन एक्सपिरियन्स इभन मोर पर्टिकुलरली. त्यो भनेको विशेषता भन्न खोजेको, त्यो लेखे पनि इट्स ओके, नो प्रब्लम. डिस्टिङ्क्टली द्याट इज अल्सो ओके, नो प्रब्लम. यु क्यान राइट वान अफ देम. पर्टिकुलरली लेख्दा नै हुन्छ. इन कन्ट्रिज लाइक नेपाल which are geographical diverse and highly dependent on natural resources, जुन चाहिँ अत्याधिक रूपमा, हाइली डिपेन्डेन्ट भने हामीले अत्याधिक रूपमा प्राकृतिक स्रोतमा निर्भर छ. तपाईँले यसलाई मिलाउनुहुन्छ, कास्ट र विकास गरेर गर्नुहुन्छ है. अब नेक्स्टमा जाउँ. पछिल्ला वर्षहरूमा अतिवृष्टि र अनावृष्टि जस्ता असामान्य मौसमी घटनाहरू तीव्र गतिमा बढ्दै गएका छन्, जसका कारण कृषिजन्य उत्पादनमा गिरावट आएको छ र ग्रामीण जनजीवनमा प्रत्यक्ष रूपमा प्रभावित भएको छ. विशेष गरी वृष्टि छाया क्षेत्रमा बसोबास गर्ने समुदायहरूमा पानीको अभावको कारण थप जोखिममा परेका छन्. पछिल्ला वर्षहरूमा तपाईँ लेख्नुहुन्छ रिसेन्ट इयर्स, नट अ बिग डिल. अब यो असामान्य भने एबनर्मल यु क्यान राइट वेदर इभेन्ट सच एज एक्सेसिभ रेनफल. अब तपाईँले यो कुरा हेर्ने, एक्सेसिभ रेनफललाई हामीले अतिवृष्टि भन्यौँ, धेरै पानी पर्यो भने अतिवृष्टि, एक्सेसिभ रेनफल. र अनावृष्टिलाई हामीले ड्रट भन्यौँ, खडेरी भन्यौँ. ओके, पानी नै नपरेको अवस्था अथवा एकदमै कम परेको अवस्था. तपाईँले यो चाहिँ क्लाइमेट चेन्ज पोलिसी नेपालको चाहिँ इङ्ग्लिस र नेपाली दुवै डकुमेन्ट तपाईँले हेर्नु होला एकचोटि. त्यो मैले पनि पढाएको. त्यहाँ चाहिँ के लेखेको छ भने यही कुरालाई फेरि एक्सेसिभ रेनफल र ड्रटलाई चाहिँ हेभी प्रेसिपिटेसन एन्ड लो प्रेसिपिटेसन भनेर है. तपाईँलाई एक्जाममा यही कुरा सोध्यो इङ्ग्लिसमा भन्यो भने चाहिँ तपाईँले त्यतिखेर के लेख्नुहुन्छ, अतिवृष्टि र अनावृष्टि लेख्नुहुन्छ. have been increasingly rapidly, resulting in a decline in agriculture production and directly affecting the rural livelihoods, while communities living in a rain shadow. त्यसलाई चाहिँ अघि वृष्टि छाया भने rain shadow regions in a particular have become more vulnerable due to the water scarcity. This is you are going to write. तपाईँले लेख्नुहुन्छ नर्मल हैन. यसै सन्दर्भमा वायुमण्डलमा रहेको अदृश्य जलवाष्प अर्थात् आर्द्रताको स्तरमा आएको असन्तुलनले मौसमी प्रणालीलाई अझ जटिल बनाएको छ, जसले गर्दा प्राकृतिक विपदहरूको सम्भावना बढेको छ र त्यसको असर दीर्घकालीन रूपमा पारिस्थितिक प्रणालीमा देखिन थालेको छ. यसै सन्दर्भमा भनेको इन दिस मेल्यु, इन दिस कन्टेक्स्ट, ओके, देन इन द सेम भेन और यु क्यान राइट इन द सेम फेसन, ओके, इन द इभल्भिङ इभेन्ट, यसरी मिलाएर तपाईँले लेख्न सक्नुहुन्छ. द इम्ब्यालेन्स, त्यो असन्तुलन अगाडि आयो. इम्ब्यालेन्स इन द लेभल अफ इन्भिजिबल वाटर भेपर प्रेजेन्ट इन एटमोस्फियर. अब त्यो भनेको चाहिँ के अरे, आर्द्रतालाई हामी के भन्छौँ, द्याट इज ह्युमिडिटी has made the weather systems even more complex, thereby increasing the likelihood of the natural disasters and the effect of which have begun to appear in ecological system over the long term. होइन, लामो समयमा यस्तो दीर्घकालीन असरहरू देखिएको छ भनेर तपाईँले यसरी मिलाएर पनि यसलाई लेख्न सक्नुहुन्छ. अब नेक्स्ट, यद्यपि सरकारले जलवायु परिवर्तन सम्बन्धी विभिन्न नीति र सदर गरी कार्यान्वयन गर्ने प्रयास गरेको छ. यद्यपि भन्ने अगाडि आयो नि त. यु क्यान राइट ननलेस, अल्दो. तपाईँले डिस्पाइट राख्नुभयो भने चाहिँ फ्रेजमा ल्याउनु पर्यो. तर यहाँ चाहिँ सेन्टेन्स जस्तो भएको भएर त्यो डिस्पाइट राखेर पनि बनाउन चाहिँ सकिन्छ. इट्स नट अ बिग डिल. तपाईँले सर र त्यो डिस्पाइट राखेर पनि त्यसलाई फ्रेजमा मात्रै ल्याउने हो, इन्स्पाइट अफ राखेर पनि हुन्छ, फ्रेजमा मात्रै राख्ने हो होइन. तर सेन्टेन्स लेख्न पाउनु भयो. तर तपाईँले दुईवटा लेख्नुभयो भने यु क्यान मेक सेन्टेन्स. सो सेन्टेन्स बनाउन तपाईँलाई कम्फर्ट फिल हुन्छ भने विच इज मोर कम्फर्टेबल फर यु, देन यु क्यान राइट द्याट. ओके, you can write one of them or either. So although nonetheless you can write one of them, and the government has made efforts to formulate and implement various policies related to the climate change. विभिन्न नीतिहरू चाहिँ फर्मुलेट गरेर इम्प्लिमेन्ट गरेको छ, सदर गरी कार्यान्वयन गरेको भने त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामीले सदर गरी कार्यान्वयन गरेको. ओके, फर्मुलेट गरेर चाहिँ इम्प्लिमेन्ट गरेको. यु क्यान राइट दिस. And in some cases, both direct and indirect oppositions has emerged against the effective implementation of such policies and methods, viewing the scientific warning with skepticism, शङ्काको दृष्टिकोणले हेर्दा, have shown a tendency to ignore them in the process of development. नेक्स्ट, तसर्थ यस्ता जटिल समस्याहरूलाई समाधान गर्न बहुस्तरीय समन्वय, वैज्ञानिक अनुसन्धान, जनचेतना अभिवृद्धि या हामी भन्छ नि बहुस्तरीय समन्वय चाहिँ यो मल्टिलेभल कोअर्डिनेसन, वैज्ञानिक अनुसन्धान, साइन्टिफिक रिसर्च, जनचेतना अभिवृद्धिलाई चाहिँ इन्हान्समेन्ट अफ द पब्लिक अवेरनेस, यो चिजहरू चाहिँ दिज आर लिटल ट्रान्सलेसन द्याट यु सुड नो। तपाईँहरूलाई यो थाहा छ, यो मेरो एजम्सन हो, किनभने इक्जाम छ हो 10-15 दिनमा, कहिले 10-12 दिनमा, कहिले इक्जामै छ होइन। सो एन्ड स्ट्रङ इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन अफ द इन्भाइरोमेन्टल फ्रेन्डली पोलिसिज हेभ बिन इन्डिस्पेन्सिबल। ओके, अपरिहार्य भएको छ, यसलाई हामीले इन्डिस्पेन्सिबल भन्यो। एज ओन्ली दिस क्यान मेक इट्स पोसिबल टु बिल्ड अ सस्टेनेबल, सेक्योर, ब्यालेन्स फ्युचर इन द लङ रन। ओके, भविष्यमा चाहिँ सन्तुलित भविष्य निर्माण गर्न सम्भव बनाउनेछ, दिगो सुरक्षित र सन्तुलित भविष्य निर्माण गर्न सम्भव बनाउनेछ। यु क्यान राइट दिस भेरी सिम्पल। यसका साथै अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय सहयोग र प्रविधिको प्रयोग मार्फत जलवायु परिवर्तनलाई प्रभावकारी न्यूनीकरण गर्न सकिने भए पनि वित्तीय स्रोतको अभाव, नीतिगत अस्पष्टता, कार्यान्वयन तथा कार्यान्वयनमा कमजोरीका कारण अपेक्षित उपलब्धि हासिल गर्न अझै चुनौतीपूर्ण अवस्थामा विद्यमान रहेको छ। ओके, देन यसका साथैलाई तपाईँले फर्दरमोर what is more लेख्दा पनि मिल्छ, केही फरक पर्दैन, that's also correct. Although the impacts of the climate change can be mitigated through the international cooperation and the use of technology, the lack of financial resources and policy ambiguity, weakness in implementation continue to create an enhancing situation in achieving the expected outcomes. These all are possible through the constant practice. तपाईँले गर्नुहुन्छ यो टेक्स्ट चाहिँ प्रायः सबै लिटल ट्रान्सलेसन जस्तो गरी बनेको छ यो नेपालीको टेक्स्ट चाहिँ है। ल के क्वारी छ भने भनौँ, नत्र भने हामी अगाडि जान्छौँ। नो क्वारिज? ट्रान्सलेसनको मार्किङ त सेन्टेन्स बाई सेन्टेन्स, सेन्टेन्स बाई तपाईँको एउटा सेन्टेन्स इङ्ग्लिसमा ट्रान्सलेट गरेको हेर्छु, अनि त्यो मिलेको छ कि छैन, भाव ट्रान्सलेसन भएको छ कि छैन, द लेभल अफ योर राइटिङ। ट्रान्सलेसन वान अफ द भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट थिङ द्याट यु सुड नट मिस इज अ फ्लो है। तपाईँले ट्रान्सलेट गरिसकेपछि कुनै पनि टेक्स्टलाई तपाईँले एकचोटि त्यो आन्सर पढ्नुहोस्, 1 मिनट टाइम दिएर नि पढ्नुहोस्। त्यो पढ्ने बेलामा चाहिँ एकदम राम्रोसँग बगेको छ फ्लोमा, एउटा साथीले भन्नुभएको थियो फ्लोमा स्मुथली बगेको छ भने चाहिँ द्याट इज अ बेस्ट ट्रान्सलेसन। 2-4वटा वर्ड तलमाथि भए पनि इज नट अ बिग डिल। र तपाईँले लेखेको ट्रान्सलेसन नै पढ्न नसकिने, अड्किने, पढ्ने बिर्से ढुङ्गा, मतलब गाँसमा ढुङ्गा लाग्यो भने चाहिँ राम्रो हुँदैन कि। म्याटर गर्छ, एक्स्ट्रा पेपर वानमा भाषाले एकदमै म्याटर गर्छ है, गर्छ। अरू केही छ? छैन है, इट्स ओके। नाउ लेट्स गो टु द नेक्स्ट टपिक। नाउ लेट्स गो टु दिस reading comprehension, which you have been doing for a long period of time since your school, and hope there are no problems at all. Because reading comprehension, that we have to deal five questions, 5 questions. Remember this, okay? So what you do first, you read the first question, like in your exam. Then what underlying assumption does the author make about the relationship between the power and cooperation? Means this essay is about, this paragraph is about power and cooperation. This is a very simple understanding by reading the only one question in shaping the global order. When you talk about the global order, then what is the relation between the power and cooperation? What does the author make about? Make about means what? Assume, what does the author assume the relationship between the power and cooperation in shaping the global order? Means we have just read one question, and you can assume that, oh, this text is this reading comprehension is about the power and cooperation relation. This is a very simple understand. Okay, and what can we infer about the role of middle-sized power in maintaining stability with the international system? Oh, there is something about middle-sized power as well. Okay, this is very general understanding while going through this. Explaining the meaning of the phrase strategic vulnerability means somewhere you will get this term while going through the paragraph, and then you have to understand the use of this word properly, its meaning properly. Okay, then how does this strengthen author's argument? Then you are going to write this also. If the trends described in the passage continue, what is the most likely impact on global peace and international relations? Okay, if this trend described in the passage continue, then you have to read this passage, okay, properly. Then how would you characterize the author's tone in the passage? Author's tone, someone asked me even what is author's tones, and I told you in my class as well. Tone means here the author's attitude, the author's outlook. That's the tone. Tone is a technical? Yes, technical. Tone is a technical. But you have to understand the text very well. Without understanding the text, you will not get the answer. You will not get like a fixed answer in one sentence what is done. uh, let me switch language into नेपाली. म तपाईँलाई नेपालीमा के भन्छु भने कुनै पनि टेक्स्ट पढेपछि कुनै पनि राइटरले त्यो टेक्स्ट जस्तो लेट्स टक अबाउट नेपालमा अहिले हामीले तपाईँले विभिन्न न्युजहरू पढ्नुहुन्छ नि न्युजमा कुनै न्युजले सुकुम्बासीको समस्यालाई पोजिटिभ एङ्गलले प्रस्तुत गर्छ कुनै पनि न्युजले त्यो सुकुम्बासीको समस्यालाई चाहिँ नेगेटिभ हिसाबले प्रेजेन्ट त्यो कुन हिसाबले कुन एङ्गलले प्रेजेन्ट गर्छ नि द्याट इज अ टोन कि त्यो चाहिँ टोन हो अनि त्यो टोन भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ तपाईँले प्यासेज रिड गरेर प्यासेजमा टोन कहाँ रहेछ भनेर मार्क गर्न लाउनु भने चाहिँ युआर किलिङ टाइम तपाईँले त्यो पाउनुहुन्छ पाउनुहुन्न त्यो कसरी पाइन्छ त्यो पुरै चिज पढेपछि बल्ल ओ राइटर चाहिँ यसमा अप्टिमिस्टिक रहेछ राइटर चाहिँ यसमा पेसिमिस्ट रहेछ अनि राइटरले यसमा सिरियस कुरा गराएको छ राइटरले यसमा क्रिटिकली प्रेजेन्ट गराएको छ दुवै साइड एनालाइज गराएको छ यु विल गेट द आन्सर नत्र भने पाइँदैन फेरि त्यो हामीले 9-10मा गर्थ्यौँ नि त्यो बच्चाहरूले पढ्दाखेरि पहिला गर्थ्यौँ नि कहाँ एउटा सेन्टेन्स रहेछ अनि यसको यो वर्ड चाहिँ एउटा भेट्यो पनि यही होला भनेर तिनवटा जति तिनवटा जति अन्डरलाइन गर्ने अनि त्यही लेख्ने त्यस्तो काम चाहिँ गर्नुभयो भने अनि त्यसपछि मार्क्स चाहिँ आउँछ तर इक्जामै क्र्याक हुने मार्क्स चाहिँ आउँदैन दिस इज वाट आई हेभ टु से टु अल अफ प्यासेज सजिलै सोध्छ जस्तो लाग्छ इट्स भेरी सिम्पल अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ है मेरो बुझाइमा चाहिँ साधारण बुझाइ मेरो के हो है प्यासेज सजिलो सोध्छ कहिलेकाहीँ के हुन्छ भने प्यासेजको केसमा चाहिँ तपाईँले दिमागमा कुनै यो ब्याकअप यो माइन्ड यो किप इन द ब्याकअप यो माइन्ड इफ द प्यासेज इज भेरी सर्ट प्यासेज इज भेरी कम्प्लेक्स इफ द प्यासेज इज भेरी लेन्दी देन प्यासेज इज भेरी इजी जस्ट यु हेभ टु सर्ट आउट आन्सर सो वाट आइम ट्राइङ टु से म तपाईँलाई के भन्न छु भने कहिलेकाहीँ प्यासेज चाहिँ लामो सोध्यो भने नातिनु होला लामो सोध्ने बेलामा चाहिँ आन्सर तपाईँले भने जस्तै वर्ड खोज्दा खोज्दै पनि मजाले आन्सर क्लिक आउट गरेर भेट्न सकिन्छ यु क्यान फाइन्ड आउट भेरी इजिली सर्ट आउट आन्सर र लोकेट द आन्सर भेरी इजिली तपाईँले पाउन सक्नुहुन्छ तर प्यासेज कहिलेकाहीँ सर्ट हुन्छ 5वटै क्वेसन छ नि हो त्यो प्यासेज सर्टवालामा चाहिँ आन्सर चाहिँ डिनोटेटिभ होइन कनोटेटिभ हुन्छ कि भनेको त्यो भित्रको कुरा उदार्नुपर्छ बुझ्नुपर्छ एन्ड देन यु विल रियली फाइन्ड आउट द आन्सर सो इन exam too what I'm trying to say that if you get a short paragraph okay then don't be happy you have to understand the complex things properly if you get a lengthy paragraph don't be panic answer is there somewhere else you will find out answer very easily अलिकति टाइम किल हुन्छ दिस द डिफरेन्स अहिलेसम्म मैले जतिवटा इक्जामहरू दिएँ होइन मैले फेस गरेको प्रायः यो तपाईँले यो आइएल्सको टेक्स्ट हेर्नुहोस् अथवा तपाईँले यो कुनै पनि इक्जामकै ब्याचलर्स छ तपाईँले इक्जाम पनि दिनुभएको छ हेर्नुहोस् प्रायः यस्तै यस्तै खाले त्योभित्र अन्डरलाइन रिटोरिक्सहरू हुन्छ अन्डरलाइन स्ट्रक्चर्सहरू हुन्छ आई थिङ्क आई होप यु आर क्लियर विथ दिस सर्ट अफ थिङ्स तपाईँ यो कुराहरूमा क्लियर नै होला भन्ने कुरा हो अनि मैले तपाईँहरूलाई यसै पढाइरहँदाखेरि के भनेको थिएँ भने what I said to you that each body paragraph has one topic sentence. So I mean to say that the same thing when you deal with this sort of things, you read the first paragraph, the power and cooperation. पहिलो प्याराग्राफबाटै थाहा हुन्छ कि पहिलो सेन्टेन्समै थाहा हुन्छ के हो भनेर power and cooperation. Obviously, we are going to talk about the power and cooperation. Power and cooperation define the shifting architecture of the global politics. That scholars and policymakers remain divided over which truly governs the study behavior. अब कोअपरेसनले गर्छ कि पावरले गर्छ गभर्न गर्छ भन्ने कुरामा चाहिँ पोलिसी मेकर्सहरू स्कलर्सहरू अझै पनि डिभाइडेड छ बुझिहाल्यो very simple if the level of understanding is good then this is not a problem this is the reason why I told you that within max 25 minutes 25 मिनट धेरै हो त्योभन्दा बढी टाइम यसमा फिल गर्नु नै हुँदैन गर्नुभयो भने तपाईँको ट्रान्सलेसनमा तपाईँको समस्या हुन्छ भनेको टाइम पुग्दैन कि टाइम नपुगेपछि चाहिँ तपाईँले छोड्नुपर्छ कि छोड्यो भने समस्या हुन्छ त्यही भएर मैले चाहिँ स्ट्राटेजिकल्ली के भन्छु भने अल दिस पारेन्ट यो 20 देखि 25 मिनटमा सक्ने हो चाँडोमा 20 मिनटमा सक्नुहुन्छ अझ त्योभन्दा चाँडो भ्याए पनि राम्रो बट आन्सर सुड बी करेक्ट किप इन माइन्ड दिस होइन तर तपाईँले यसलाई 30 मिनट लाउनु हो तपाईँको टाइम त सक्यो अनि ट्रान्सलेसनमा फेरि त्यो 50 मिनटमा तपाईँले सक्नुपर्ने हुन्छ अनि त्यतिखेर तपाईँ फेरि अनि सक्नुहुन्न कि नसकेपछि त्यो भ्याउनु भएन भने अनि त्यसपछि तपाईँले छोड्नुहुन्छ जबरजस्ती गर्नुहुन्छ अनि त्यहाँबाट एसएमा गएर 20 मिनट बस्छ 20 मिनटमा कहाँ तपाईँले 800 वर्ड्सको 10वटा प्याराग्राफ कहाँ प्रड्युस गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ एसए आदिमै छोडेर आउनुहुन्छ अनि त्यसले चाहिँ भोलिको इक्जाम बिग्रिन्छ कि एक्स्ट्रा पेपर 2 पनि बिग्रिन्छ. दिस इज द रिजन वाइ यु हेभ टु भेरी स्मार्ट इन केस अफ टाइम. यो कुरामा चाहिँ एकदम ध्यान दिनुपर्छ इफ यु हेभ टु रियली द्याट सक्सिड गर्ने हो भने चाहिँ. So one school of thought insists that hard power is paramount. The military hard power भनेको के हो भने कोलोनले एक्सप्लेन गर्छ. Is a military strength, technological dominance, strategy that determine outcomes in an anarchic international system. From this perspective, nations must assume the worst intention of the others. Preparedness is not optional but an essential. You can write this. And rivalries therefore intensify in domains such as artificial rivalries. अहिलेको अवस्थामा के छ rivalries हेर्नु त तपाईले एआईमा छ, साइबर क्यापेबिलिटिजमा छ, एडभान्स डिफेन्स सिस्टममा छ, where a slight that even a slight disadvantage may translate into strategic vulnerability. भनेको तपाईँले एआईको कम्पिटिसनमा हेर्नु कुनै पनि देशमा अलिकति पछाडि पर्यो भने चाहिँ तपाईँ डिसएडभान्टेज पोजिसनमा पुग्नु हो कि. भेरी गुड क्वेसन. एसआरले जुन क्वेसन सोध्नुभयो नि वान सेन्टेन्समै आउनेवाला छ भने चाहिँ अब म वान सेन्टेन्समै चाहिँ नलेख्नु भन्छु तर कम्तीमा 3-4 लाइन. एक सेन्टेन्स तपाईँलाई थाहा छ, तपाईँले पहिला पुरानो कोर्सबाट आउनु भएको छ भने चाहिँ म तपाईँलाई एउटा 12 क्लासमा एउटा स्टोरी हुनुपर्छ क्या. आई स्टिल रिमेम्बर द्याट. अ लास्ट सिप टु द गोस्ट हुनुपर्छ. 6 पेजको एउटा सेन्टेन्स थियो कि 6 पेज ओन्ली वान सेन्टेन्स. 6 पेजको एउटा सेन्टेन्स. इट इज अप टु यु हाउ लेन्दी यु राइट. तपाईँले कति लामो एउटा सेन्टेन्स पनि धेरै हुन्छ नि. एउटा सेन्टेन्समा लेख्न सक्नुहुन्छ किन नसक्ने हो र. तर मेरो एउटा दुईवटा सेन्टेन्स विच कभर्स 3 to 5 लाइन्स मैले तपाईँलाई भन्दै आइरहेको. कहिलेकाहीँ 5-7 लाइन लेख्नु पर्ने नि हुनसक्छ. अब तपाईँको आन्सर नै प्याराग्राफमा 5-7 लाइनको दिएको रहेछ भने त तपाईँले 5-7 लाइन लेख्नुपर्ने अवस्था नै हुन्छ नि. तर त्यस्तो अवस्थामा तपाईँले जानी जस्तो मेनी अफ यु थिङ्क द्याट लाइक 3 marks आई हेभ टु राइट हाफ पेज. प्लिज डोन्ट डु द्याट. तपाईँले चाहिँ कतिले के सोच्नुहुन्छ भने म चाहिँ आधी पेज लेखिदिन्छु अनि मेरो मार्क्स आउँछ भन्छ नि. त्यो त गर्दैन अरे हुन्छ. तपाईँ टाइम किल गर्ने टाइम. And if you are writing that aiding yourself which is not necessary or that which is harmful to you, you can't add anything like out knowledge that तपाईँले एड गर्न पाउनुहुन्न कि. तपाईँले बुझ्नु होला है. I hope you got it. In contrast, another perspective underscores the necessity of rules, institutions, and collaborations. That is, without them, the international system risks descending into disorder. And advocates of this approach argue that the multilateral cooperation, though imperfect, offers smaller and medium-sized states a means of preserving autonomy and stability. Okay, so rather than relying on brute force, which is hard power, these nations construct networks of partnership. What are they? Flexible, issue-based conditions, coalitions that adapt to the evolving challenges. So such arrangements do not eliminate competition. Instead, they attempt to manage it within agreed frameworks. So this is about the middle-sized power. Next is this tension reflect. This tension reflect. Okay. Then we have a rivalries. Okay. Then okay. So reflect a deeper transformation in a world order. Established institutions are no longer fully correspond to contemporary realities. Emerging powers demand recognitions. Traditional powers seek to maintain influence. And then meanwhile, the technological advancements blur the boundaries between economic and military strength. Control over data, supply chain, innovation ecosystem has become consequential to the territorial defense. As a result, the states pursued dual strategy, strengthening the domestic capabilities while engaging selectively in international partners. So yet this balance is fragile. Okay, yet this balance is fragile. This tension reflect. These are some of how the authors try to portray these things. That is a copy paste. That is your ultimate option. If you copy as it is from the passage, that is your ultimate option that you should do. तपाईँले केही सिप लगाएन भने त्यो अन्तिम हतियार हो. rather than leaving the question छोड्नु भन्दा त त्यही त मैले तपाईँलाई सुरुमा भने नि 9-10मा पहिला स्कुल कलेजहरूमा धेरै बच्चाहरूले चाहिँ के गर्नुहुन्थ्यो भने भनौँ न एउटा वर्ड खोज्ने क्वेसनको अनि त्यो वर्ड त्यहाँ भेट्यो भने त्यो 3-4 सेन्टेन्सेस सार्दिने कि त्यो गर्यो भने चाहिँ इट क्यान हेल्प यु टु पास द एक्जाम कुरो हो. तर इट गिभ्स अ भेरी क्लियर मेसेज टु द एक्जामिनर द्याट यु हेभ नो क्रिएटिभिटी. तपाईँको क्रिएटिभिटी पनि छैन, तपाईँले जे छ त्यही सार्नु हो कि and you will get max नदिने चाहिँ होइन कम मार्क्स दिन्छ भन्ने चाहिँ मेरो कुरा तपाईँले आफ्नो भाषामा मिलाएर लेख्नुभयो भने चाहिँ द्याट्स बेटर है यु हेभ टु सो यर द स्किल अफ यर ल्याङ्ग्वेज तपाईँले त्यो लेख्नु चाहिँ पर्छ इज वाट आई हेभ टु से तपाईँले त्यो लेख्दा फार बेटर हुन्छ है मैले दिने सजेसन चाहिँ तपाईँलाई Yet this balance is fragile. Excessive competition may not provoke the conflict, while over-dependence may erode. Okay, so then there is one more phrase: the central dilemma. This tension. These are some of the things that the author is trying to express. It's not a choosing between the power and cooperation, but integrating both in coherent strategy. Nation must calculate when to compete, when to collaborate, and how to safeguard their interest without destabilizing the broader system. So the implications are profound. The decisions taken today will shape the trajectory, that means path of global order. For decades, a world dominated solely by force risks the perpetual instability. A system grounded only in idealism may prove ineffective. Okay. So between these extremes lies a complex reality. That is one that discards critical thinking, strategic, demands critical thinking, strategic foresight, and appreciations of the intricate interplay between the strength and cooperation is an increasingly interconnected yet contested world. So both are really important in this contested world. This is what the last line given here. So what I was saying that the underlying assumption or does the author make about the relationship between power and cooperation in shaping the global order? Then you can write. Author assumes that the neither see how many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 done. The author assumes that the neither power nor cooperation alone is sufficient to shape the global order effectively. Instead, both elements are interconnected and must be balanced. So, while power ensures security and deterrence, cooperation helps maintain the stability and prevent disorder. The passage suggests that a successful global system depends on integrating these two forces rather than prioritizing one over the other, which is given in the last line also. You will understand very easy. Okay. So both are really important. So next is what can we infer about the role of middle-sized powers in maintaining the stability and within the international system. Okay, it can be inferred that middle-sized powers play an important role by relying on the cooperation rather than direct competition with a strong organization. They use the alliances and partnership to protect the interest and maintain stability. So by forming the flexibility and issue-based coalitions, they are able to adapt to changing global challenges while preserving their autonomy, which is given here. You know that. Middle power, we're talking about middle power. Okay, so middle size powers, okay, means preserving autonomy and stability given here. So what you have to do that you read the question first and then you go through the passage, and then at the same time you have to underline the answer. I mean, you have to underline which part is the answer. Okay, which part is the really important for you, which part the answer of A number, which part is the answer of B number, which part is the answer of C number, what is given there, and you can write in your own language. If you don't know, the ultimate option is that you copy paste, but my strong suggestion is write in your own language. Two times. You're gonna read the passage 2 times, not more than that. See, first you read the questions. 5 questions read. Why I'm saying so? Because when you read 5 questions, then like some words, some questions will be in the back of your mind, at the back of your mind. Then you read first time, you underline those things. But second time when you read very that patiently and read properly. Okay, trying to that decode each and every connotative and denotative meaning given there, so that you don't have to read that thrice. If you keep on reading, that thrice and more than that, reading the same passage, then obviously it kills your time. I mean, you don't have time. I'm not saying that you can't read, you can read, but it kills your time. Then, okay, you can write this. Then strategic vulnerability. Okay, strategic vulnerability. Explain the meaning of phrase strategic vulnerability used in the passage. How does it strengthen author's argument? See, somewhere given strategic vulnerability that we're talking, you have to underline this. Strategic vulnerability somewhere, that strategic vulnerability. Okay, you have to underline this while reading the first time. You have to underline this passage. You have to, when you read first time, then you have to underline these terms. Rivalries therefore intensify in domains such as artificial AI, cyber capabilities, and advanced defense system, and even a slight disadvantages may translate into strategic vulnerability. Means in terms of competition, this time when you talk about this and the technological development like AI and cyber capabilities or the advanced defense systems, then any country maybe in the inferior position. What this strategic vulnerability means, very simple. So if you understand, then very simple, you can write strategic vulnerability refers to a situation where one country is at a disadvantage in terms of security or power, making it more exposed to threats from others. In the passage, it highlights how even a small weakness in areas like technology or defense can have serious consequences. This strengthens the author's argument by showing why nations prioritize power and preparedness, as failing to do so could put them at risk. Okay. So I mean, hard power is also important. This is the reason why given there. Okay, power is also important, not only cooperation. And next, if these trends described in the passage continue, what is the most likely impact on global peace and international relations? If these trends continue, global relations are likely to. I mean, if there is a competition between these two, power and cooperation, that these trends continue, then the global relations are likely to remain complex and uncertain. This may be increased competition between nations, especially in areas like the technology and military strength, then which could lead to the tension. If there is a competition rather than cooperation, then what will happen? There will be that could lead to the tension. Then, however, the continued cooperation and the partnership may help to prevent the conflict and maintain the same level of stability. Overall, the future will depend on how well countries balance competition and collaboration. Competition and cooperation both are really important. Okay, not like prioritizing one over another. How would you characterize the author's tone in the passage? Author's tone in the passage, like tone in the passage, support your answer with reference to a specific language or structural features. So then, like when you talk about the tone, that outlook of this passage, then you can describe as an analytical imbalance. Analytical imbalance, because the passage presents, that both perspective like power and cooperation. Author is not here lopsided. Author is not taking one side, like power is good, power should be, that promoted. It's not like this. Author has taken a very balanced position and without clearly favoring one side. So words like tension, fragile, dilemma, there is given also, so that the author recognizes the complexity of the issue. So the structure comparison of different viewpoints also reflect a thoughtful and objective approach. So you can write this analytical and balance, because author has given the that both outlook equally, given the importance on both sides. सो यो ट्रेन इफ कन्टिन्यू के हुन्छ भन्ने आन्सर प्यासेजमा नहुँदा हामी धेरै डिरेल हुन मिल्छ फ्रम फिक्स। त्यो चाहिँ कस्तो एक्ज्याक्टली गुड क्वेसन है फेरि यसमा चाहिँ। अहिले तपाईँको सबै सबै राम्रो छ, तपाईँले गुगल ट्रान्सलेसन गरे पनि राम्रो छ, सबै ठिक छ। तपाईँले एआई च्याटबोटहरू युज गर्नुहोस्, आई स्ट्रङली सजेस्ट यु। बट देयर इज वान प्रब्लम। प्रब्लम इज द्याट if the level of your language is not appropriate, then you will not find out the mistake in AI. तपाईँको लेभल हुन्छ नि, तपाईँले एआईले यो गल्ती गर्यो भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ तपाईँले त्यो फाइन्ड आउट गर्न सक्नु भने चाहिँ तपाईँले एआईले गरे गल्ती तपाईँले पनि गर्नुहुन्छ क्या। एआईले लिटल ट्रान्सलेसन गर्छ, राम्रो गर्छ, टु बी फ्याक्ट होइन। कहिले काहीँ एआईले कल्चरल ट्रान्सलेसन र स्पिरिचुअल ट्रान्सलेसन चाहिँ बिगार्छ। दिस इज भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट थिङ आई हेभ टु टेल टु अल अफ यु। अब त्यो यस्तो हुन्छ, यदि पावर कम्पिटिसन कन्टिन्यू भयो भने के हुन्छ भने त कन्टिन्यू भयो भने यसरी नै कन्टिन्यू भयो भने त कन्सिक्वेन्सेस त डेन्जर छ। आई मिन त्यो बेसमा टेकेर यु क्यान राइट युर एजम्सन के कुरा बुझ्नु हो नि। ग्राउन्ड त उसले दिएको छ नि, पावर कम्पिटिसन भयो भने के हुन्छ, अनसर्टेन हुन्छ होइन, कम्प्लेक्स हुन्छ, तपाईँले त्यो भन्न सक्नुहुन्छ नि। एउटा ग्राउन्ड दिएपछि तपाईँले गेस गर्न दिएको के कुरा छ, तपाईँले त्यो ग्राउन्ड बुझ्नु भएको छ कि छैन भनेर त्यो सोधेको। तपाईँले इफ दिस ट्रेन्ड कन्टिन्यू भन्ने त्यो के ट्रेन्ड हो भन्ने बुझ्नु भएन भने तपाईँले जे पाए त्यो आन्सर लेख्नु। टोन भनेको चाहिँ मैले तपाईँलाई अघि भनिहालेँ नि, टोन भनेको चाहिँ एटिट्युड हो कि। अथरले when you talk about like cooperation and that cooperation and power, that competition between this power and let's say cooperation, तो दुईटा कुरा गर्ने बेलामा चाहिँ we talk about these two things, then what is the viewpoint of the author? अथरले कसरी प्रेजेन्ट गरेछ? कम्पिटिसन हुनुपर्छ भन्छ कि कम्पिटिसन मात्रै हुनुपर्छ भन्छ कि होइन, पावर मात्रै बढाउनुपर्छ भन्छ कि होइन, कोअपरेसन पनि आवश्यक छ भन्छ। त्यो बोथ साइडलाई कसरी ब्यालेन्स गरेर प्रेजेन्ट गरे भने हो कि। जस्तो म तपाईँलाई लेट मी मेक यु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड अ भेरी सिम्पल कन्सेप्ट। तपाईँलाई अघि मैले सुकुम्बासी इक्जाम्पल पनि दिएँ नि, आई गिभ इक्जाम्पल। जस्तो कि अब कोही मान्छेले चाहिँ तपाईँलाई भेरी सिम्पल एउटा कुनै एउटा लभको कुरा कसैले गरिदियो भने कोही मान्छेको लागि चाहिँ त्यो एकदमै राम्रो कुरा हुन्छ, कोही मान्छेको लागि त्यो चिज नराम्रो। तपाईँ अथर हुनुभयो, तपाईँले नेगेटिभ चिज दिमागमा छ भने तपाईँले नेगेटिभ कुरा लेख्नुहुन्छ कि त्यो चाहिँ अथरको आउटलुक हो, आई मिन अथरको टोन हो। अनि तपाईँ अर्को कुनै अथरले त्यो चिजलाई एकदम राम्रोसँग लेख्नु हो, त्यसमा तपाईँको पोजिटिभ आइडिया छ भन्यो भने यु से ओ हि हेज अ भेरी पोजिटिभ टोन, उहाँको त्यो टोन हुन्छ नि त्यो चाहिँ पोजिटिभ छ, उहाँको एटिट्युड चाहिँ पोजिटिभ छ भन्न खोजे हो कि। द्याट यु विल अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड ओन्ली रिडिङ द टेक्स्ट। अघि अघि तपाईँले भने जस्तो टेक्स्टमा अन्डरलाइन गरेर चाहिँ भेटिन्न फेरि। अब त्यो पेसिमिस्टिक हुनसक्छ, अप्टिमिस्टिक हुनसक्छ, क्रिटिकल हुनसक्छ, एनालिटिकल हुनसक्छ, ब्यालेन्स हुनसक्छ। त्यो त टेक्स्ट कसरी प्रेजेन्ट गरेको छ भन्ने कुरा है। टाइप भनेर तपाईँले हार्ड एन्ड फास्टवाला वाट आर द टाइप्स अफ कन्स्टिट्युसन खालि चाहिँ नखोज्नु न। Hope you got it. Now come to next one. Summarize the following passage in one third of its length. I told you that there are many rules. अब the very short and simple things है, which I told you that मैले तपाईँलाई भनेको चाहिँ सबैभन्दा पहिलो कुरा टेक्स्ट पढ्ने। यसको मैले भन्ने गरेको चाहिँ के हो भने भेरी सिम्पल। द फर्स्ट थिङ इज द्याट रिड द गिभन टेक्स्ट प्रपरली। तपाईँले राम्रोसँग त्यो टेक्स्ट पढ्नुहोस्। पढेपछि तपाईँको भाषामा 150 देखि 160 शब्द कहाँ पुग्छ, एक पेजमै पुग्छ कि एक पेज पछाडि अलिकति बढी पुग्छ, त्यो नोटिस गर्नुहोस्। इट डिपेन्ड्स अन द साइज अफ योर लेटर विच आई हेभ बिन सेङ फर लङ पिरियड अफ टाइम। मैले तपाईँलाई भनेको तपाईँको आफ्नै भाषामा लेख्नुहोस्। पहिलोचोटि पढ्ने बुझ्ने, दोस्रोचोटि पढ्दाखेरि मेन मेन चिज अन्डरलाइन गर्ने, अनि त्यसलाई टिप्ने, टेक्निकल टर्म्सहरू छ भने अरूलाई नटिप्ने, बुझ्ने, अनि सर्लक्क लगाएर सिधै आन्सर लेख्ने। आफ्नै भाषामा आफ्नै ल्याङ्ग्वेजमा आन्सर लेख्ने, त्यो चाहिँ बेस्ट आइडिया हो। चाँडो पनि हुन्छ, चाँडै सकिन्छ पनि, र धेरै नाम निकाल्ने टपरले त्यही गर्नुहुन्छ। कुरा बुझ्नुभयो नि मैले के भन्नु भने। अब यहाँ कतिजनाले चाहिँ के गर्नुहुन्छ भने पहिला पढ्नुहुन्छ, अनि त्यसपछि फेरि तल नोट बनाउनुहुन्छ, फेरि पढ्नुहुन्छ, फेरि नोट बनाउनुहुन्छ होइन। द्याट इज गुड, त्यो राम्रो आइडिया हो, तर त्यसले टाइम किल गर्छ कि, त्यसले टाइम किल गर्छ कि। अब यु क्यानट रिड दिस, तपाईँले पढ्नुहुन्छ द कन्टेम्पोरेरी टर्मोइल अफ द मिडल इस्ट क्यानट बी अन्डरस्टुड थ्रु सिङ्गल एक्सप्लानेटरी फ्रेमवर्क। तपाईँले यो टर्मोइल चाहिँ के को बारेमा छ, मिडल इस्टको बारेमा छ, भेरी सिम्पल अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ। यो सर र तपाईँले पढ्नुहोस्। आई एम नट गोइङ थ्रु दिस। अब यसमा मैले धेरै भन्दा तपाईँले पढेर बुझ्नुहुन्छ। रिजनल राइभलिजको कुरा छ यसमा, नेक्स्ट प्याराग्राफमा चाहिँ एक्सटर्नल पावर्सको कुरा छ, देन इकोनोमिक डाइमेन्सनको कुरा छ, एन्ड देन फेल्ड सोल्युसन। केही सोल्युसन्सहरूमा चाहिँ दे हेभ नट गट सक्सेस पाएको छैन भन्ने इक्जाम्पल हो। त्यसलाई चाहिँ मैले कर्सरली यहाँनिर प्रेजेन्ट गरिदिएको छु, स्ट्रक्चरल स्ट्राटेजिक रुट्स अफ मिडल इस्ट। अब म यसमा के कुरा भन्छु है, यो तपाईँहरूले पढ्नुहुन्छ, यसमा म हार्ड एन्ड फास्ट नट इज इन एभ्रिथिङ, बट आई विल से सम अफ द इम्पोर्टेन्ट थिङ्स। अब म लास्टमा भन्छु ल मैले के गरेँ भने। ल तपाईँले यो सर हेर्नुहोस्, यो पढ्नुहोस् है, यसमा मैले धेरै टाइम क्लिक गरेन। वाट यु सुड राइट दि टाइटल। इट इज अ मस्ट। तपाईँले टाइटल लेख्नुहुन्छ, एकदमै इम्पोर्टेन्ट कुरा हो। टाइटल बाई एज एक्जामिनर, म एक्जामिनर भएर चाहिँ तपाईँको टाइटल चाहिँ होइन कस्तो हुन्छ भने तपाईँले लेखेको टाइटलबाट मलाई थाहा हुन्छ कि तपाईँले प्यासेज बुझेको छ या छैन। यदि मैले तपाईँको पेपर चेक गरेँ भने चाहिँ तपाईँले लेख्ने टाइटलबाटै मलाई थाहा हुन्छ कि तपाईँले कतिको प्यासेज बुझेको हुन्छ। सो टाइटल इज अ मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेन्ट थिङ। यु हेभ टु रिड द टेक्स्ट प्रपरली एन्ड राइट द टाइटल। यु सुड नट मिस दिस। तपाईँले टाइटल नछोड्नुहोस्। अनि त्यसपछि अप्रोक्स वर्ड तपाईँले कति लेख्नु भएको छ त्यो चाहिँ तपाईँले अलरेडी प्रि प्लान है। भनेको मतलब चाहिँ 150 160 हो कि इक्जाममा लेख्ने। घरमै 5 4 5 ट्राई गर्नुहोस् एउटा पेपरमा लेखेर कति जति हुन्छ एभरेज भोल्युम तपाईँको 150 160 वर्डमा तपाईँ कहाँ पुग्छ भन्ने आफैले। इक्जाममा त डाइरेक्ट गएर पढ्ने हो, दुईचोटि अन्डरलाइन गर्ने, सिधै आन्सर लेख्ने, टाइटल लेख्ने, तल एप्रोक्स वर्ड लेख्ने, त 150 160 तपाईँले कति लेख्नुहुन्छ लेख्नुहोस्। द्याट इज अलरेडी डिटरमाइन्ड। त्यो चाहिँ अलरेडी डिटरमाइन्ड कुरा हो। यसमा तपाईँले धेरै टाउको दुखाउनु। अब नेक्स्टमा मैले यसमा धेरै टाइम क्लिक गरेन ल। अब नेक्स्टमा आउनुहोस् ल। अब यो कुरा म यसमा के कुरा भन्छु साथीहरूले अब ड्राफ्टिङ नोटमा तपाईँले जस्तो हेर्नु है, भेरी सिम्पल थिङ। In view of the evolving situation in West Asia, the government of Nepal has been issuing daily updates regarding the safety of Nepali nationals. As a section officer of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, draft a press release outlining the current situation, government measures, and advisories for Nepali citizens. अब तपाईँले प्रेस रिलिज लेख्नुहुन्छ भने प्रेस रिलिजको फर्मेट तपाईँले पढ्नु भएको छ नि हामी सुरुमा गभर्मेन्ट अफ मिनिस्ट्री अफ फरेन अफेयर्स गभर्मेन्ट अफ नेपाल काठमाडौँ तपाईँले लेखिहाल्नुहुन्छ क्रेस्ट भनेको चाहिँ यो हाम्रो एउटा मन्त्रालयमा छाप हुन्छ कि मतलब त्यहाँनिर एउटा क्रेस्ट इम्ब्लेम पनि यु क्यान राइट अ क्रेस्ट एउटा यस्तो पेनले बनाएर क्रेस्ट लेखिदिनुहोस् अनि प्रेस रिलिज मात्रै लेख्दा पनि हुन्छ प्रेस रिलिज रिगार्डिङ लेखे पनि भयो प्रेस रिलिज अन लेखे पनि भयो द सिचुएसन इन द वेस्ट एसिया इन सेफ्टी अफ नेपाली नेसनल्स भनेर तपाईँले लेख्नुहुन्छ र दुईवटा प्र्याक्टिस गर्नुहोस् भन्छु म चाहिँ त्यो द गभर्मेन्ट अफ नेपाल यो चाहिँ हाम्रो वेबसाइटहरूमा पनि छ है तपाईँ यु क्यान सी द्याट हेर्दा पनि हुन्छ यो चाहिँ तपाईँले हेरिरहनु भएको छ भने चाहिँ यु हेभ डन भेरी वेल यु हेभ टु जस्तो कि तपाईँले चाहिँ अब अहिले टाइम कति छ म टाइम हुने साथीहरूले चाहिँ विगत 3 महिनादेखि यताको प्रेस रिलिजहरू सबै कलेक्ट गरेर राख्नुहुन्छ क्या एक ठाउँमा अनि त्यसलाई सरर हेर्नुहुन्छ अनि वाट एभर द क्वेसन्स यु विल गेट यु क्यान राइट द इक्जाम तपाईँले इक्जाममा त्यो कुरो लेख्नुहुन्छ The government of Nepal has been closely monitoring the evolving situation in the West Asia and through the regions of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a region through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nepal diplomatic missions stationed in the affected countries. The government remains fully committed to ensuring the safety, security, and welfare and the protection of Nepali nationals residing in the region. Which हाम्रो वेबसाइटमा दिएको कुराहरू नै हो यसमा खासै नयाँ कुरा चाहिँ यो वेबसाइटमा दिएछ अलमोस्ट त्यही कुरा हो यसमा चाहिँ इन दिस रिगार्ड द फलोइङ मेजर्स हेभ बिन अन्डरटेकन बाई द गभर्मेन्ट अफ नेपाल सो यु क्यान राइट 1 2 3 1 2 3 चाहिँ मैले त्यो हाम्रो वेबसाइटमा देखेँ भएर मैले राखिदिएँ हो 1 2 3 नलेखेर म प्यासेजमा लेख्छु भने पनि पाइयो एन्ड इमर्जेन्सी रेस्पोन्स टिम इआरटी चाहिँ मोफामै छ तपाईँले कहिले लाइभ पनि देखिरहनु भयो होला मोबाइल लाइभ गरेर आउँछ है हाम्रो मिनिस्ट्रीले लाइभ गरेर आउँछ इआरटी भन्ने छ एउटा टिम द्याट इज emergency response team, okay, coordinated by the foreign secretary, has been actively reviewing the situation, coordinating necessary response mechanism for the protection and the possible evacuation of Nepali citizens if required. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has established an emergency control ECR to provide immediate assistance, collect information, and respond to concerns raised by the Nepali nationals and their families. And third is the Nepali embassies and consulates general in the region remain operational and are providing essential consular services, including the passport renewals, travel documents, and emergency assistance. Nepali citizens are advised to maintain regular contact with their respective diplomatic missions. Then the ministry, in coordination with the resident Nepali associations, NRNA, Nepali community organizations, and safety will to ensure the safety and welfare of Nepali citizens. You can write here about the NRN and the safety of Nepali citizens, Nepali national. As an online registration system operated by the Department of Consular Services has been collecting the updated details of Nepali nationals residing in the West Asia, and the collected information is being used to facilitate the necessary assistance and emergency response measures. The government is also assessing the available air travel options and coordinating with the concerned authorities regarding the possible evacuations and transit arrangements for Nepali nationals wishing to return home. Okay, जो घर फर्किने हो Nepali citizens in the affected regions are strongly advised to follow the local laws. Secretary advises and official instructions issued by the host government and Nepali diplomatic missions. They are also requested to avoid activity that may violate the local laws. अब local laws मान्नुपर्छ कि जस्तो तपाईँ एउटा केस सुन्नुभएको थियो नि यो साउदी अरेबियामा चाहिँ एकदम त्यहाँ त्यो इरानको त्यो वार हुने बेलामा चाहिँ त्यहाँ भिडियो नखिच्नु भने त्यो एकजनाले चाहिँ बाहिर बसेर भिडियो खिचिदिनु भएको छ अनि पछि समातेर लगेर द्याट इज भेरी द्याट प्रब्लमेटिक फर अस हामीलाई यो प्रब्लम पनि भएको कुरा हो कि the local laws हामीले follow गर्नुपर्छ okay so see that may violate the local laws including the unauthorized recording sharing of photos videos or audio materials. So in case of any emergency or difficulty Nepali citizens are requested to immediately contact the emergency control room of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the concerned Nepali embassy or consulate. So you have to write around 7 8 10 points. It is up to you. मैले चाहिँ के भन्छु भने एउटा कुरा चाहिँ म तपाईँलाई कुरा भन्छु यु क्यान राइट द गभर्मेन्ट अफ नेपाल रिआइटरेट्स इट्स कमिटमेन्ट टु सेफगार्डिङ इन्ट्रेस्ट एन्ड वेलबिङ अफ नेपाली नेसनल्स अब्रोड एन्ड अर्जेस all the concerned to remain alert, informed and cooperative during this period. Then you can write the city and you can write the date. You should not forget this part. तपाईँले यो पार्ट भोलिनु चाहिँ भएन है फेरि यो चाहिँ फर्मेटकै पार्ट हो टाइटल हुन्छ अनि त्यसपछि जुन देशमा जारी भएको त्यो देशको के हुन्छ क्यापिटल सिटी हुन्छ अनि त्यस यहाँनिर चाहिँ डेट हुन्छ यो तपाईँले ड्राफ्टिङहरू पढ्ने बेलामा चाहिँ फर्मेट इज अ मस्ट यु सुड नट फर्गेट इट बिकज इट डिटरमाइन्स द्याट एभ्रिथिङ है फर्मेट बेसमा लेख्नुपर्ने हुन्छ कि बिचमा कन्टेन्ट कति लेखियो भन्नेले फरक खासै पार्ला नपार्ला त्यो आफ्नो कुरा हो धेरै कन्टेन्ट लेखेर धेरै मार्क्स पनि आउँदैन म्याक्स 1.5 पेज कति साथीले चाहिँ जस्तो अब अहिले केही साथीहरू हुनुहुन्छ जो एकदम अगाडि पनि आउनु भएको छ उहाँहरूले चाहिँ इक्जाममा के गरिदिनु भयो भने यही लेख्दाखेरि पनि 1 पेज लेखेर फर्मेट टक्क मिलाएर कन्टेन्ट बिचमा चाहिने कुरा लेखेर अरू छोडिदिनु भएर पनि टाइममा भ्याएर पनि अरू चिज राम्रो गरेर पनि मार्क्स राम्रो ल्याउनु भएको छ कि। अब फेरि कतिजनाले के सोध्नुहुन्छ म चाहिँ 12-15वटा पोइन्ट लेख्छु सबै कुरो इन्क्लुड गर्छु भनेर तपाईँले फर्मेट बिगार्नुभयो भने त तपाईँ यसै गयो। फर्मेट मिलाएर पोइन्ट बिचमा धेरै चिज नलेखिकन यो फर्मेटमा ठिक छ एकदम चाहिने चाहिने मात्रै कुरा लेखेर टाइममा भ्याउनु भयो भने द्याट इज द बेस्ट स्ट्राटेजी मैले भन्नु गरेको छ। Next is that Nepal's neighboring country has reportedly constructed some structure in the border area, and a part of that construction is being done in the stress of land that falls within Nepali territory. Draft a protest note. त्यो recently हाम्रो यो कैलाश मानसरोवरको कुरामा पनि नेपालले प्रोटेस्ट नोट पठाएको कुरा तपाईँले पढ्नु भएको छ होइन? जोइन्ट कम्युनिकेमा 10वटा लेख्ने हो टक्रकै फर्मेटै हुन्छ। म कुनै बेला भनौँ ल अर्कोचोटि एक्जाम आएर त के भएछ भने जोइन्ट कम्युनिके 10वटा पोइन्ट 10वटा फर्मेट कसरी लेख्ने भनेर पोइन्टै बनाउनुहोस्। 10वटा पोइन्टमा के लेख्नुहुन्छ तपाईँले ट्याक्कै बनाउनुहोस् कि 10वटा पोइन्टमा मेन मेन सेन्टेन्सको स्केलेटन बनाएर कण्ठ गरेर टक्कै लेखिदिने। यसमा टाउको देख्नै पर्दैन 10वटा पोइन्ट होइन त्योभन्दा बढी लेख्नै पर्दैन। डेट प्रायः त्यस्तो धेरै डेट सोध्दैन फर्मेट इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट। डेट त करेन्ट डेट जुन एक्जाम दिएको त्यो लेख्दा पनि केही फरक पर्दैन। हुन्छ किन यो तपाईँ तपाईँ त कम्प्लिटली नयाँ हो त्यसमा। यो प्रेस रिलिज भयो एउटा फर्स्ट पर्सन ड्राफ्टिङ अनि थर्ड पर्सन ड्राफ्टिङ हुन्छ अनि जोइन्ट कम्युनिके हुन्छ कि त्यति भएपछि लगभग पुग्छ तपाईँहरूलाई। जो भर्खरै पढ्नु भएको छ नि 4-5वटा स्याम्पल पढ्नु है त्योभन्दा बढी नपढ्नु। अरूले 25वटा पढेर 200वटा पढेर पनि पढ्छ इक्जाम एकदमै सजिलो सोध्छ टाउको दुखाउनु पर्दैन। फर्मेट पढ्नुहोस् 4वटा चिजको कपीमा लेखेर म के भन्छु भने 10वटा जति कपीमा लेख्नुहोस्। प्रेस रिलिजको 3वटा जति फर्मेट, ड्राफ्टिङमा फर्स्ट पर्सन नोटको 3टा जति फर्मेट आन्सर फर्मेट सहित, थर्ड पर्सनको 3वटा जति फर्मेट होइन, अनि जोइन्ट कम्युनिकेको 2टा जति फर्मेट। तपाईँलाई थाहा छ भने अरू टाउ दुख्नै पर्दैन। यो 1 घन्टा 2 घन्टा 3 घन्टामा सकिने काम 2-3 घन्टामा इक्जामको तयारी नै हुन्छ कि। Okay, then next is you can write this. This is a draft of protest note, but you have to write in third person note. तपाईले यो third person note मा लेख्नुहुन्छ. Press the Minister of Foreign Office, Government of Nepal, Kathmandu. You can write here is a reference note तपाईले लेख्नुहुन्छ, reference note, and the government, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of Nepal presents its compliment to the Embassy of India in Kathmandu as honor to convey. This is a formulaic one. त्यो चाहिँ हामीले थर्ड पर्सन नोट पनि फर्मुलाइक नै हुन्छ। तपाईँले त्यो कुरा लेख्नुहुन्छ त्यसमा। To convey that ministry has along with the regret about the constructions of permanent structure in Nepali territory in the Lipulek areas. Then you can write this. Government of Nepal has consistently maintained that as per the Article 5 of Sugali Treaty, that is 1860, all the territories east of Kali, Makali River, including Limpiadura, Lipulek, and Lipulek belong to Nepal. You can write this. And the government of Nepal unequivocally protests the recent unilateral act of construction, which which is against the principle of territorial integrity. This act also runs counter to the understanding reached between the two countries, including at the high level of prime ministers, that the solution to boundary issues would be sought through negotiations. And in this context, the government of Nepal calls upon the government of India to immediately halt the works and refrain from carrying out any activity inside the territory of Nepal. So the government of Nepal re-emphasizes the need to resolve the pending boundary issues through the diplomatic means and establish mechanism. Further, the ministry also proposed to conduct a joint inspection of the border area led by the technical teams to verify the fact on the ground at the earliest as soon as possible. That means subsequently confirm the date for the negotiation. So the Ministry of Foreign Office, Government of Nepal, avail itself of this opportunity to renew. This is also formula one. The students of highest consideration. The last or first or third person यो formula नै हो. formula जस्तै हुन्छ यसलाई रट्नै पर्छ. तपाईले रट्नु भएको छ भेरी गुड, रट्नु भएको छैन रट्नुहोस्। अनि स्ट्रक्चर चाहिँ हुन्छ भने इनिशियल स्ट्याम्प, इनिशियल भनेको तपाईँले साइन गर्ने बेला फुल साइन गर्ने होइन कि इनिशियल मात्रै गर्ने, अनि स्ट्याम्प हुन्छ त्यसमा हाम्रो मन्त्रालयको होइन। त्यसपछि काठमाडौँ सिटी लेख्नुहुन्छ अनि डेट लेख्नुहुन्छ। यो चाहिँ फेरि स्ट्रक्चर नै हो। थर्ड पर्सन नोटमा तपाईँले के गर्नुहुन्छ भनेर चाहिँ पढ्नु पर्यो। पहिला तपाईँले यहाँ मिनिस्ट्रीको लेख्नुहुन्छ, त्यसपछि क्रेस्ट लेख्नुहुन्छ, त्यसपछि रेफरेन्स लेख्नुहुन्छ, सुरुको सेन्टेन्स फर्मुलाइक हुन्छ, त्यसपछि बिचमा चाहिँ कन्टेन्ट जे लेख्नु पर्ने तपाईँले त्यो लेख्नुहुन्छ। एन्ड देन यु राइट द लास्ट सेन्टेन्स विच इज अल्सो फर्मुलाइक, यो पनि फर्मुलाइक नै हुन्छ। देन इनिसियल अनि स्ट्याम्प हुन्छ, अनि त्यसपछि देन सिटी एन्ड डेट, सिटी हुन्छ अनि डेट हुन्छ, अनि कुन, and then you have to write here addressee, which addressee, Embassy of India and Kathmandu. You have to write here addressee. Okay. This is given in the note of Subhanga sir. तपाईले Subhanga sir note हेर्नु भएको छ भने चाहिँ यो चाहिँ मैले त्यहाँबाट पिकअप गर्दै आयो sites of Subhanga sir. This is also important. This is the reason why this is in the current issue, and I thought it is really important for you. This is the reason why I included in exam. So any queries that we have come to the close of this session. If you have any queries, then I'm going to address shortly to all of your comments. Otherwise, we have to say goodbye. Recently, I joined यसो छुट्यो तपाईँले यो हेर्नु न ल देखाइदिनु पर्यो ओके त्यही त मैले तपाईँले यो हेर्नु ल नेक्स्टमा तपाईँले जोइन गर्नु म तपाईँलाई भन्छु तपाईँले एक्चुअली हेर्नु न जस्ट यु रिड दिस नोट यु विल अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड मेनी थिङ यसमा भएको कुरा तपाईँले एक्चुअली हेर्नु न ल राम्रोसँग तयारी गर्नुहोस् अब तयारी भन्दा पनि रिभाइज गर्नुहोस् भन्छु म make your knowledge very handy and you have to fire whenever it is needed. This is part of this. Oh, okay. If you are a latecomer, then okay. Goodbye, all of you. Good night. Hope no queries. Okay, bye bye.